I I see some people in the chat room already. Sileo's late again. I'm going to make it very clear to you. This is Big Sil's time. I'm never late. I'm never wrong. And it's truth, justice, and the Big Sil's way. How you doing? By the way, we are powered by our friends at BetUS. Make sure you check out the website. And as always, we start the show off with Big Sil's and how you doing? All right. Hey, I can't believe Xander and I were just talking. I mean, it's week 13 of the National Football League already. I mean, it's week 13, and it just shows you the power of the NFL. The NBA season drags. Baseball season drags. Hockey, well, hey, Xander and I and everyone loves the NHL. Unfortunately, they're now resorting to putting advertisements on their helmet because the revenue stream blows out loud and because Gary Bettman doesn't know how to market truly one of the greatest and toughest sports on the planet. How do you fucking not know how to market that sport and make that? If you could make the WNBA a must-watch deal, you could make the greatest players on the planet relevant. I mean, honestly, man, how is the WNBA? We'll promote someone. Holy shit. Gary Bettman might just be the worst commissioner in all of professional sports. You can't make that sport work, but the chicks can make the WNBA work. All right. Hey, by the way, before we get into Eagles and the rest of the NFL, I want to show you what incompetence is as an owner. The New York Jets fired Joe Douglas yesterday. By the way, I saw John McMullen say, no, he's not coming back. Why? Joe Douglas is not a bad talent evaluator. I wouldn't have a problem with him being in my organization evaluating talent. He just can't pick a fucking quarterback. Who in the right planet would not want Joe Douglas in their building? He's a pretty good talent evaluator. So when you say you don't want him back, why wouldn't you? Plus the experience level that he has now as being a former general manager, I don't have a problem with Joe Douglas. Plus he knows the culture of the Eagles. I'll tell you this, if they don't get Joe Douglas, I bet you Kansas City hires his ass as a talent scout. I would. New England, hey, dude, his draft picks haven't been poor. His quarterback dealings have been poor. By the way, the first 15 minutes of the program, we got a record we haven't broken yet, 147 likes. I would love to see in the first 15 minutes, if we can get past 147, we have not broken that threshold yet. Most important part when it comes to the like button is the first 15. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. And all super chats go to the top. But tell me something. So am I right when I say this, the New York Jets? And I'll get to the Eagles here in a minute. Am I right when I say this, that the New York Jets haven't been to the postseason in 14 years, right? 14 years, going on 15 because they're not making it this year. What's been the one consummate? You know, the New York media wants to beat Aaron Rodgers up right now and say that this was his fault, albeit he needed to play better this year. And there's no doubt that that guy's finished. He's not very good right now. He's just not very good. But what's been the one consummate? What's been the one consummate? Douglas drafted Donnell Pumphrey in best RB class. Hey, Big C, he also drafted the running back Hall right now with the Jets. And by the way, your general manager can't fucking draft a linebacker and can't deal with the linebacker position to save his life. Dean's playing better, but he has been atrocious at handling contracts and also drafting and evaluating that position. And according to our friend Marcus Hayes, he's not going to offer Zach Bond a contract. You can't be more incompetent than Howie Roseman at the linebacker position. I mean, you just can't. He's completely incompetent at that position. He may have hit on Dean here. He looks better. But he's going to let Zach Bond walk out the door. He hasn't drafted anybody to save his life in 20 years except maybe Dean. Congratulations. You eventually got one right. The law averages were on your fucking side. Okay? But how about this? What's been the one consummate in New York? Woody Johnson is a horrific owner. 14 years, it's been him meddling, firing coaches, firing general managers, trying to demote quarterbacks, doing whatever. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's the worst owner of pro sports, let alone the NFL. He is actually the worst owner. Because you know why? He thinks he's doing the right thing. And he hasn't been to the playoffs in 15 years now. I didn't say Kyle, the quarterback, needed to play better. Absolutely. There's no question. But how many games, Kyle, has Aaron Rodgers played? What is it, 10? So let me get this right. 15 years of failure. Aaron Rodgers is responsible for 15 years of failure? 15 years of failure with the Jets. He's responsible for that? I mean, right? Aaron Rodgers played 10 ball games. I'm not making excuses for Rodgers. He sucked this year. Okay? He sucked. But he's played 10 games. Where are we going here? I mean, it's the freaking owner that going to force Howie to pay Bond. We'll see. I doubt it. How come Carolina doesn't have a banner for Cam Newton? Do you think he deserves one? Yeah, Cam's the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. It's not Jake Delhomme, even though he got to a Super Bowl, and Cam did too. Cam's the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. I'm a Cam Newton fan. Hit the like button, please, guys. So, I mean, yeah, you talk about pathetic ownership. Look at New York. New York is right there for you. By the way, again, not giving Rodgers a hall pass. Guy sucked. Totally sucked this year. But he played 10 games. This will be the 15th year the New York Jets don't make the postseason. It's the longest run in the NFL of a team not making the postseason, the Jets. Well, what's been the one consummate? It's been the shitty owner, Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson knows how to make Band-Aids, but he can't use those same Band-Aids to fix his team or cover wounds that he makes with all those crazy mistakes. He is absolutely a shitty owner. There shows you have to have the guy at the top. Hey, one thing about Jeffrey Lurie, I don't like his politics, but I'll tell you what he does do. He spends the money when he needs it. He hires pretty qualified people at almost every single level of his organization. No losing coach since 2000 when it comes to one-loss records. Coaches have gone to Super Bowls, 3 of them. Think about that. Since 2000, Jeffrey Lurie, and I'm not giving this guy any flowers here, but this is great. Okay? The current coach has the longest road win streak in football, bettering even the Kansas City Chiefs. Every coach that he's had since 2000, outside of Chip Kelly, has been to a Super Bowl. That's pretty good. Andy's been to one as an Eagle coach. Doug obviously won one, and Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl. Pretty good stuff, man. It is. I mean, he does a lot of things in the organization that causes you not to cross the finish line, but he's in the race. Hit the like button. I appreciate it. All right. A complete and utter disaster has hit the Eagles in the face today. Bryce Huff, surgery on his wrist. By the way, I'll say this to you. I thought Hassan Reddick a year ago played with a cast on his hand, 4 games. And in the first 4 games, everyone was saying he was not productive. And all of a sudden, you got a guy here in Bryce Huff who's been an utter disaster. He's an $18 million, $51 million disaster. A complete F for Howie in signing him. An absolute bona fide failure on signing him on the defensive side of the football. That was your top priority signing, and it was a complete failure. Okay? By the way, there's been a ton of successes. And I'm not going to quantify my take here by giving people reach arounds here. But Bryce Huff has been a disaster. A complete F. I mean, there's not much else to say. And some of the other guys who have played, or at least covering a little, that guy was expected to bring you 16 sacks or 12 or 11 sacks. He may not be even available for the playoffs. What a disaster. $51 million disaster. Okay? Sills, what do we do this season over our second coming of LT has to now go under the knife? Hey, you got to rely on the other guys now. Absolutely got to rely on the other guys. You got to rely on Vic Fangio making pressure. Huff think is Howie's worst free agent signing ever. But what you have in this dynamic is you may have the greatest free agent signing in the history of the Eagles in Zach Bond. And the worst, this is Howie's record. 23 was a failure. 22 was a success beyond all successes. That's who he is. And that's the danger you play when you do musical chairs on defense. It's hit or miss. It's not sustainable. Jeff Kerr, Birds 365, they have that dude on every week. Jeff Kerr has made that clear, and I agree with him. This is why you have your hit and misses. 22, grand slam year for Howie Roseman. 23, abysmal. 24, looks like great successes outside of Huff, who's been a complete bomb. Okay? I mean, that's his MO. And that's what happens when you don't develop players on your side of the ball. You know, I get into a back and forth with Xander all the time about player development on that side of the ball. Isn't it funny when you hire quality coaches, which they don't seemingly like to do in Philly? What happens? Your players are starting to get developed. Vic Fangio is probably the best coach that they have ever hired since Jim Johnson and Jim Schwartz when it comes to player development. All of a sudden, Dean's playing better. Carter's playing better. The secondary looks better. Why? Quality coaches. Last year, the Eagles didn't want to go down that route with quality coaches. They thought they knew better. Again, there lies the issue of being up and down and thinking you know better. There's one thing with the Eagle organization. They are the most inconsistent at staying the course. You know, Sirianni talked about having a culture. So what's your culture? Letting Zach Bond walk out the building because you don't want to pay him? Is that a culture? I thought the idea was to develop and retain talent. Not to think you know what you're doing where you can go back into free agency, which you can't. What are you going to do next year? Sign Robert Quinn? Where are you going here? Shaq Barrett? I mean, there's been way too many failures for me to sit here and go, well, the general manager knows what he's doing. In 24, it looks it. 23 didn't. This is the inconsistency that you have with that organization. Looks good now. November 20th. Please hit the like button, guys. Give me a running total where we are. 147 is the record. Hopefully we can get up near it. Yeah, Bryce Huff has been a complete disaster. A complete disaster when it comes to the number one defensive free agent. Number two was Gardner Johnson. When you look at the numbers, they're not that awful. We're going to look at the defense. By the way, we got a ton of shit today. We're going to talk Barkley. We're going to talk Hurts here in a second. I turned my vote in for the NFL Rookie of the Year. Not for the final vote, but we do it on a weekly basis on who the NFL Rookie of the Year is. And by the end of the season, we vote on who we believe is going to be the Rookie of the Year. Also, the Offensive Player of the Year. Now, that is different than the MVP because it looks like the quarterbacks are going to dominate that once again. And the NFL Alumni Association gives me a vote on that. You see that show every year, the NFL Honors. Well, that's what this is. So I get a vote on that each and every single year. So we'll do that as well. I'm not forgetting Stoutland. Stoutland's an offensive coach. I'm talking defensive coach. So no doubt he's been the best coordinator that you've had since Jim Schwartz, who won a Super Bowl for you. Get this. One thing you got to remember about Jim Schwartz. Jim Johnson never won you a Super Bowl. Okay? As great a coordinator as he was, he never won one. Schwartz won one. Okay? Chris goes like this. Sills, is Bond in the running for the best linebacker in the NFC? Unfortunately, Chris, it doesn't work like that in voting. Players vote on All-Pro and the Pro Bowl. We get ballots. I've showed you a ballot before, and I was on a Pro Bowl ballot, believe it or not, an NFL Pro Bowl ballot. And you get to vote on them. And players vote on those respected players. So the players are not going to vote for Zach Bond for the Pro Bowl first team. He might get a third team. That's still in your contract incentives. Okay? That's still in your contract. That's not an opinion. In my opinion, do I think he's playing the best linebacker? I don't think Warner's had a great year. I think Roquan has had an up and down season. Is he playing the best? He's in the conversation. He's in the conversation. Okay? I'm playing the best. Please hit the like button, guys. I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Supers go to the top here. All right. I've been bringing this up, and I'm going to continually bring this up. Okay? Continually bring this up to you. You tell me Bond is the top three. Okay. This guy says Bond is a top 3 linebacker. How do you know it's not a one-year wonder? How do you know that he's not a one-year guy? Okay? Frank says this, Pro Bowl is nothing but a popularity contest. Well, let me just put it to you this way. Making the Pro Bowl is a contract incentive of $500,000 in today's NFL. So it might be a popularity contest to you, Frank, but it's not to the players. It's an extra bonus and incentive of $500,000. And to people unlike the quarterbacks, that's a big deal. Jalen Hurts skipped practice for GMA. That's all right. He was promoting something really cool. Working with schools and such with his foundation. I don't have a problem with that. Okay? I mean, you're doing a great cause. You're helping others. You're elevating others around you. You're helping inner city kids. I mean, what? So that he can go practice because he was on The View? I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. You know, I mean, he wants to go on The View and tell his story. That's fine. But, I mean, that's cool, man. He was doing a really cool thing and really, really a lot of work and does some work around the city. So, I mean, look, he embraces Philadelphia. I'm not going to kill a guy over that. I mean, if you want to go on The View, though, I mean, I do have a problem going on The View. Was it The View? You know, these Hollywood guys, I don't know what the shows are nowadays. I don't watch that thing. That's Sanders kind of shit right there. Watching The View and, you know, those. Was it Good Morning America? Sure. All right, man. Yeah, he's on Good Morning GMA. All right. So he's on GMA telling everybody what he's doing. I don't have a problem with that, man. I really don't. Please hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it. By the way, I don't know if we're getting Philly 500 on today, but we're going to beat up Mark Holmes. Hey, I got to tell you guys, I've been putting Mark Holmes on. I wasn't going to put him on by himself, but what I thought I would do to you, and I thought I would do this for you. This is the gift from Big Sills to Eagle fans. We're going to beat Mark Holmes up for about 40 minutes. and his Cowboys. You ever see a lion at the zoo? You throw him meat. The Eagle fans today are the lion in the den, and you get to eat the bone. And you get to eat the bone off of Cowboy guy. And you get to kill him. There is nothing redeeming about the Dallas Cowboys right now. Nothing. Nothing redeeming. Can you believe it, too? Hey, and by the way, he'll make an excuse because Dak, whatever, man. Deion Sanders might be the next head coach. Sure, that'll be a great shit show. Yeah, Jerry will like that. So, hey, this is my gift. Here, Xander, this is my gift today. My sacrifice. Like back in the day when they used to have sacrifices, Mark Holmes' head on a spit for you, Eagle fans, and Cowboy fans getting killed. Okay? This is my gift. My gift is his head on a spit. And hit the like button. All right. So, I love my topic that has now started to circle around Philly and the so-called media experts. Big Sills makes a point here, and I've been making it for about a month now. Kellen Moore has not been the right coordinator for your offense. He has not improved the passing game. I heard Mike Gill on earlier with Birds 365. No disrespect. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Okay, I don't really know who he is, but it's great. He does great stuff, and I like his stuff. And I was listening. You get my attention, and I kind of take some of the stuff you're saying. Yeah, I heard him. He's saying maybe some of the issues when the passing game is because they really haven't had to throw the ball. Can you imagine this? And by the way, I'm a fan of running the ball because it exudes an attitude. You're dominating somebody when you run the ball. I get this. But today's NFL is not a running team. It's not a running league. You win passing the football. Throwing the ball through the air, there's a reason rule changes on hitting quarterbacks, defenseless receivers, pass interference. There's a reason for that. And that is because the league wants a passing game. Why do you think there's more wide receivers going in the first round than ever before? Is it because they want to run the ball in the NFL? Or is it because they want to throw the ball? How many running backs do you think go in drafts every year? 1? 2 would be a high. How many wide receivers go in an NFL draft every year? 10? 12? Why is that? Passing game. It's a passing league. Look at the Eagles. They got 2 1,000-yard wide receivers 2 years in a row. First time in league history. First time in team history they've ever had a 100-catch guy. It's the way it is in the league today. Super Chats go to the top. After the drop-off of Bradbury and some other players that were one-year wonders will cause Howie to hesitate resigning Bond. It's a great take. That so far is the take of the day. How do you know he's not James Bradbury? James Bradbury was all pro. That's a great take. That is a freaking great take. How do you know he's not James Bradbury? You would be guessing. Me too. I mean, is it Kellen thing or maybe it's Hurts? We're going to talk about it. Dak's passing game in Dallas looked a lot better with Dak than Jalen. I personally think it's Hurts. It is Hurts. Dak Prescott, they had the number 1 passing offense in the NFL and number 1 offense in the National Football League, and they were balanced when Kellen Moore was in Dallas. Xander brings it up all the time. When Kellen Moore had Dak Prescott in Dallas, they were 1, 2 times in 4 years, the number 1 offense. He's right. That's another great one, Jameson. Supers go to the top. When Jalen wins the Super Bowl this year, will you get off his back? No, ever. You do know they review the game and will adjust to it. Love your show. By the way, Park, thank you very much. No, I won't. Okay? Park, he wins the Super Bowl. Of course I get off him because then I'm dumb, like I was with Lamar. I said Lamar Jackson in 5 years would be out of the league. After watching him in the playoff game against the Chargers, I couldn't have been more wrong. His first playoff game, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I couldn't have been more wrong about a guy 2 MVPs later and potentially in line right now for a third. I mean, I could have been more wrong. Okay? I could have been more wrong. So, how many people, I'm going to put it to you guys first before I start putting some of the trends down on what Hurts has done and what the offense has done. And then we'll talk about whether it's more or Hurts or both. How many people believe that Kellen Moore has improved the offense? And by the way, just to put a caveat on it, and I hope it doesn't pollute your take, he wasn't brought in to improve an already great running game. The Eagles have been the best. John McMullen says it all the time on Birds 365. The Birds have been one of the top running attacks in the last 12 years. You tell me. This guy Henry says that Lamar's overrated. Well, dude, if Lamar's overrated, your guy's a bum. Hurts is the bum then. If Lamar Jackson's overrated, Hurts is a bum. If you're going by Henry's metric, he's a bum. Has Kellen Moore improved the run game? Has he? Lamar's overrated. Hurts is, every time I see it, Lamar's overrated. Hurts is a bum. Okay? If anybody in here says Lamar's overrated, Hurts is a bum. Get this. Once again, he's a regular season guy. Hey, dude, getting to a Super Bowl doesn't make you a great quarterback. We proved that. Doesn't make you a great quarterback. Average quarterbacks have gotten to Super Bowls. JoJo, Hurts is a bum. Pat, Hurts is a bum. All right. Hit the like button. By the way, Lamar Jackson has led the NFL in passing touchdowns. You think Jalen Hurts will ever? Oh, you know what? I got to tell you. I can't wait to see what happens for the rushing touchdown. And what happens to the rushing touchdown? Will it be Wildcat Hurts or Derrick Henry, who has the most rushing touchdowns this year? What do you think? Lamar led the NFL in passing touchdowns with 36 one year. I mean, who do you think has the most touchdowns this year? Derrick Henry or Wishbone? That's going to be a battle to watch. I can't wait to watch that. My money's on Wishbone. I think Jalen's going to have more rushing touchdowns this year than Derrick Henry. He's going to lead the NFL. He's got a better chance of leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns than he does passing touchdowns. That's a damn given. I mean, hey, yeah, that would be a first. Can you imagine a guy that's a quarterback in today's NFL playing 1932 football where he leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns and he has 20 TD passes? That would be amazing. Yeah. Burrow threw more in 10 games than Hurts will all season. Oh, I got another one for you, Xander. Before I get into the passing game, hold on here. Get this. Here's another one here. So you guys always say to me about Jared Goff sucks, right? So Jared Goff has 2 of the NFL's 7 all-time ever 400-yard passing games with 4 touchdowns and a quarterback rating of 158.3, which is perfect. He has 2 of the 7 in NFL history. You think Hurts will ever have? Jared Goff has 2 of the 7 most prolific passing days in pro football history of the 7. The guy in Detroit, I was floored when I saw this. Okay? And I'm not a golf guy. I'm not a Jared Goff guy. But he's got 2 of the 7 most prolific passing days in pro football history. And Hurts is battling Derrick Henry for the most rushing TDs. Quite an accomplishment. That'll be great. I'd love to see that stat line. Jalen Hurts, 20 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts passing TDs, 18. I bet Bo Nix has more. Yeah, man. Holy shit. This is great. All right. Hey, please hit the like button here. This is getting to be a lot of fun here. So the passing game of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Get this guy. Here's Big Marshall. Big Marshall goes like this. Goff had 5 interceptions and 1. Hurts has 1 pick and he loses against good teams. And by the way, he turned around the next week and went for 420, 4 touchdowns and no picks. By the way, how many interceptions has he thrown this year? He's had a passer rating on perfect like 6 weeks in a row. So let me see here. By the way, he throws the ball a ton too. Jared Goff. Man, dude, that's right. Hey, compare Jared Goff to Jalen Hurts as a passer. It's the most fucking idiotic thing you could possibly do. It's not even, and again, I'm not even a Jared Goff guy. So Jared Goff has got 9 turnovers. How many does Hurts have this year? 9 interceptions. How many does Jalen have? He's on pace for 34 touchdowns. How many interceptions does Jalen have this year? So he had 5 in one game, and he's got 9 on the season. Jalen's got 5. Okay. Wow. All right. Here we go. So currently right now, here's your passing attack. Passing yards, you're 16th. Attempts, you're 25th. Completions, you're 23rd. TDs, you're 18th. Total passing, you're 22nd. Has Kellen Moore improved your passing game? Yes or no? Is it Kellen Moore? Or is it Hurts? Love the show, but Dan, what's your real feeling? Do you want Jalen out of the league? What that do? No. I'm saying that guy's not good enough to run that offense. I said it to you on Monday. He's the weak link in your offense. You got a Super Bowl offense, and you got a Super Bowl roster. You're great at every position, O-line, receivers, running back, except the quarterback. He's not good enough. Is there anything? Want him out of the league? No. He's a good player. He's just not good enough for Philly. You can't. I told you I would kill this kid if that guy doesn't deliver a Super Bowl this year with that talent. And they haven't improved as a passing game. And you know what their media people are doing? Xander's not really doing this. John is. And so are the others. Well, John, no, I'll take that back. I heard John today say that the passing game is not good enough. I'll take that back. Okay? I will take that back. John knows it's not good enough. John said it on the postgame show. I just remembered. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with that passing game. That's my problem, Charlie. He's not good enough. You can win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. See, the problem with Jalen is Jalen will play great in a Super Bowl, but he won't put 5 games together to get to that game. There'll be an inconsistent game somewhere in there. That's the one thing Foles did. Foles could put games together because he was a really good passer. Okay? Spike goes, here, look, folks. Here's Spike. Back to the same shit of 2023. 10-1, 8-2. Didn't matter. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Prince, Jalen Hurts had a terrible game. Get this. Jalen Hurts had a terrible game on Tuesday, 18, 28 passes, 221 and 2 sacks. In contrast, Wilson was 23 of 36 for 205, 1 interception. Jalen is terrible. No, Jalen's inconsistent. And I'm not picking one game. I'm talking about the entire 2024 season. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the Redskin game. I'm talking about the whole season. And since the bye, they've taken the ball out of his hands in the passing game. Because the coaches know for them to win as many games as they want to win, they got to run it. If Hurts had Reed as head coach, what's his stat line? Would Jalen be better? Would Jalen be better with a Todd Monken? Probably. You're making me lean that it's Kellen, not improving him. Hang on. Let me get the flexing. Now, man, the way Sills gets people mad when he starts talking shit about Hurts is gold. Flexing. I don't think it's talking shit. I think I'm talking reality here. If he had Todd Monken, would Jalen Hurts be better than with Kellen Moore? Or if he even had Cliff Kingsbury? Shit, maybe even Shane Steichen. Kellen Moore's not the guy. He hasn't brought one thing to the table. They even stopped motion because it was confusing Hurts. Okay? Now people can't negate his dumb opinion on Hurts without being hurt. It's not a dumb, okay. I don't know what you're watching, but if you actually think that guy's improved from last year as a passer, show me one place that he's improved. You can't say blitzing because he's 6th in taking sacks. I mean, he sees the blitz more. He's being sacked more. Seals, do you think the Niners window's closed? I think if they don't do anything this year, I think they've got to reevaluate a lot of things on that roster. Everyone sit back and enjoy the ride. We're 8-2. We have issues as fans complaining with this team. It's honestly the reason our team could care less about us. Then you should have your PR guy stop calling my bosses. That would help because they don't like my opinion. I'd like to see the numbers on how many TDs have been thrown on the 1 or 2 line when Jalen as quarterback is automatic. If they run it, it's on the 1 yard line. Jalen is a solid quarterback. Yeah, at times. Holds on to the ball way too long, sometimes to have trouble going through his progressions. Yes, all you said. Here's Prince. Prince, I understand your point, but I don't see why people rank Wilson higher than Jalen. What's the difference? Because Wilson's crossed the finish line. Wilson knows how to use a running game and be proficient in the passing game. And now you've got a Pittsburgh team that resembles what they had in Seattle. Prince, he knows his talent around him. He knows his liabilities around him, and he knows what he can or can't do. And a lot of that is in his hands, and that's why Mike Tomlin went with him. He's a more experienced player than Hurts. He's been through this. Actually, I think the experience in Denver actually helps Russell Wilson because he knows where he is in his career. He's on the back nine now. Okay? Dude, well, again, Russell Wilson's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If Jalen remembered all season he's holding the ball too long, indecisive on reads, and he hasn't shown consistently playing, I mean, it may be a result of not gelling with the OC. Okay? Hey, I completely think that he is not the right coordinator for Jalen Hurts. Sills, if Wilson was the age of Hurts right now on the Steelers team, they would win the AFC, correct. Najee's not quite Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is as close to being a Pro Football Hall of Famer, and he may get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Marshawn Lynch was a terror, and he was the engine of that Seattle team, in my opinion. I think it was the Legion of Boom, and I think it was Marshawn, and I really do think it was Russell Wilson making critical plays on third down and keeping them in third and short. They had great coaching on that football team up in Seattle. Pete Carroll put a great staff together, and there was really good talent all around him. They did a nice job. And that's what Pittsburgh does right now. Okay? Sills, would you bring back Steichen if fired? You know my only problem with Shane Steichen? Every quarterback that runs that dual threat thing, he gets them injured. I don't know. I mean, Anthony Richardson he's already beat up. And Hurts got beat up in his system as well. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Funny. Still, should Eddie George be in the Hall of Fame? Very close. Very close. So, Hurts can be a throwback Wilson. Remember, they had Baldwin and Lockett to carry Wilson too. Not quite AJ and Devontae, though, right? Baldwin and Lockett. I mean, it was really more Marshawn Lynch. Okay? Racing Seattle ownership threw away a Super Bowl so a thug wouldn't win the Super Bowl MVP. Interesting take. I don't know. I just still to this day, I mean, we got to remember something, though, my friend. Pete Carroll blew a national title game, but going for it on fourth down. And you had Vince Young, who was running up and down that field on that USC defense in the national title game, and he went for it on fourth down, and they lost the game because of that. Okay, I mean, so he blows a national title game, and he blew a Super Bowl. So, I mean, Carroll's known for going for it. Okay, he is. Super chats go to the top. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, Prince, do me a favor. If it goes through and rolls through, post yours. Sills, I think your criticism of Hurts are objective and correct. But since you've been covering us, I think you want to see the kid get us a ring and succeed. Of course I do. I'm not rooting for his failure. I don't root for any of that. I'm pointing out what I see. Joey, the idea of this is Hurts to prove me wrong. Not to prove me right. Who has fun being right? You know how many times I've been right and fired? What's the point of it? I'd rather be wrong. I mean it. I would rather be wrong. You guys, I mean, some of you get it. I'd say 85% of you get it. I really do. Okay? I think the other 15% don't get it. And anybody who posts hater, you don't get it. But you know what's funny? Am I right, guys? The ones that have been in here the longest, Don't you come around and go, man, I can't stand it. I had a guy yesterday go, I'm sitting in the stadium at Lincoln Financial. I'm watching the 49er game. And you know what popped across my mind after we were getting rolled? Fucking Sileo. He was right. I mean, hey, he's sitting in Lincoln Financial going, fucking Sileo. Hit the like button, guys, please. These fans can brag about some 13, 14 wins, but it's meaningless if you're not holding the trophy at the end. Amen, man. Amen. Absolutely amen. Hey, dude, it's not about winning the most. Hey, by the way, again, I heard people talking about that. The Eagles won a lot of football games and they hang around the rim. So you want to be the Cowboys? Who wants to be the Cowboys? Who wants to win 12 games 3 years in a row and do dick with it? What's the point? What are you rooting for? Next year? Having a fun time at Lincoln Financial? Here, I'm going to say this to you guys, and I'm sorry if this is going to hurt people's feelings. Dude, city of Philadelphia, the one thing that you guys are deprived are winners. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Donovan McNabb, Bryce Harper. How many dynasties have you ever had in Philly? One? Flyers? How many dynasties have you had in football? None. How many dynasties have you ever had in who? 83? Is that the last time the Sixers won? Here. 2000s, Phillies win the World Series. They win it in 80. Okay. Eagles, 17. Let's see. Flyers in the mid-70s. Where are we going here? What are you rooting for? To be decent? The 68 Flyers, the 68 Sixers team was great with Wilt. It was great. It was great. It was a great basketball team. You tell me. Philadelphia doesn't have, you're not a city of champions. That's what we're doing here. Or really, I mean, maybe I misread you guys. Maybe I misread it. If I did, I'll back off. If you want to be a city like Chicago, okay. Or do you want to be a city like Boston? That's a city of champions. Bruins, Patriots, Red Sox. I mean, what are we doing here? Personally, I'm starting to think you guys don't talk like fucking champions. The Eagles have one of the greatest offenses ever assembled, yet they act like Jalen is just the best quarterback ever. Now, look, this is a great take here. Says we're hungrier than a sumo wrestler. Yes. Here, you want my honest Celtics. Thank you, Chris. You want my honest assessment of you guys? Best fan base in the country. Worst franchises in pro sports. They don't deliver you what you need. And you support them like your fucking son and daughter. It's wonderful. I posted that yesterday on my Twitter, how much I love talking to people in that city. Great. I enjoyed talking to people in San Francisco. But you'd be shocked. San Francisco has 49er fans are great. Buffalo fans. Patriot. I love talking sports in Boston. I fit right in. Because when I was talking about the Celtics and Kyrie Irving, you should pull it up. I called him an absolute locker room cancer. The moment you get rid of him, the Celtics will flourish, and they have. This is about winning titles, not 8-2. It's about time you kick that fucker's ass with the Sixers. Like Xander said yesterday, the Flyers, the Phillies, not a bad job. They're doing a decent job. Dave Dombrowski's a friend. I know him, and he's striving for perfection. I covered him when he was down with the Marlins. I know what he's capable of. You've got to demand that Howie and Jeffrey deliver you more than one. Hey, you know what you need to start sounding like? Yankee fans. Hey, fuck it, man. We just won the World Series. You know what we used to say when Steinbrenner owned the team? Hey, can you do it next year? Are we in it next year? You get greedy. Okay? Maybe I haven't made that clear enough. Stop talking common. You Philly fans sound common when you bring up 8-2. I bring up 1-3. You're 1-3 in my eyes. Is that too harsh? Best fan base I've ever spoken to. In my 34 years in broadcasting, best, passionate, in your face. Don't let up. Don't let dickheads like Bob Lang and them guys, and the Sixers and all these guys sell you stadiums. Get this. So the Sixers want to sell you stadiums, but not championships. My opinion, you know what Philadelphia sports fans would do? They'd bend over backwards to give the Sixers a new arena. If they had been delivering Eastern Conference titles and constantly going to the Eastern Conference championship game and going to NBA finals, they'd build it themselves. I've always spoken like this. I've always demanded perfection. One to three versus Mahomes and Brady. Not that bad, though, Sills. I'm talking Super Bowls. You're 1-3. 1-3, Mahomes and Brady. Once again, Des the Jew, you fall short. I was talking about Super Bowls. Look at this guy. Vince Lombardi gave my uncle, Andy Robustelli, an index card that says when he got to Green Bay in 1959, he wrote down on an index card and passed it out to every Packer that was in the building. And it said on it, gentlemen, we are going to strive for perfection every single day we're in this facility. Every single day, we are going to strive for it, knowing full well we'll never reach that capacity of being perfect and being in that room of being perfect. But we're going to learn to live with greatness. I have that card framed, handwritten by Vince. Josh Allen or Jared Goff, not a debate. Okay? I don't think I've made it clear on how my thinking, how I look at you, and how I look at things. You know, have you ever heard me talk about my Hurricanes? Somebody asked me, hey, Sills, Miami this weekend is going against Wake Forest. They're going to win 10 games. I said, yeah, they're going to win 10 games for the second time in 21 years. 10 games used to be a bad season for us. We were 10-1, it was kind of a disappointment. We strove for perfection. I lost one regular season game in 3 years at Miami. That's where I'm from. That's where I'm from. Try acting like a champion. Might help your takes a little better. Chase, trust me, I don't know what that means. Practice perfection to achieve excellence. Love that. That's a great take. Nick, my opinion, Hurts is limited to throwing to the outside because he can't see over the middle because of the Giants in the offensive line. Then drop back more like Wilson and Breeze did. Okay? I am minding my business. This show is my business. Sills, I agree. The offense needs to be more fluid. Rhythm. Right. Rhythm. It seems we struggle to execute the simplest plays. I thought Kelly would have implemented more complex routes. I think Kellen, without a doubt, tried early, and I think they revamped it at the bye, and they went back to doing what they do. Seals, I meant we played Brady twice in the Super Bowl, 1-1, and lost to Mahomes 1-3 versus the Goats. Okay. Okay. They didn't give me one, Joey B. I have to sweep it up with a broom. Seal Stafford uses motion. We're going to get to this here in this hour here coming up. By the way, guys, tell me where we are in the like button. And also, do me a favor. Please hit that like button now. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And then at 4:30, we're going to have my treat to you, Mark Holmes. He has, Abe. You're going to see a lot of motion with Sean McVay, okay? He was saying we lost to Mahomes, Brady, and Madden in the Super Bowl. It hurts, but they had better quarterbacks and head coaches. John Madden wasn't the head coach of that Super Bowl. When Vermeil lost, it was we've had him on the program when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Oh, God. Guys, help me out. It wasn't Madden. It was Tom Flores. That's it. Thank you, Charlie. It was Tom Flores who was the head coach. That was the guy in that Super Bowl when you guys lost to the Raiders. Raiders were a wild card in that team. All right. So I'm saying Kellen Moore, in my opinion. I don't think he's improved your passing game. I just do not. Let's get to this other one. I'm gonna set this up in a different way here. Guys, do me a favor, please hit the like button. So I vote, as I told you, for the NFL Alumni Awards, the NFL Honors. And I'm gonna set this up. We had to turn in our ballot today, and we do it every week, for the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. And this is who I have, and this is who I submitted today. And they've made this award more so because the MVP award has turned into such a quarterback award, okay? And I'm going to get to a topic using this. At number 10, the Offensive NFL Player of the Year. I've got Bijan Robinson, the Atlanta Falcons, at number 10. I think Bijan has prospered a lot, having Kirk Cousins down there, and he is what I thought he was on draft day. Remember I said he was one of the sandbox guys that I would have drafted with that top pick that the Eagles had? I loved him, and he is turning out to be one of the great players right now. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, let's take a look at Bijan right now in his numbers on what he's, I think, going to have a pretty good year as well. But he's been a really good force down there for them. And I think he's benefited already. I saw somebody in here already trying to tell me that they already disagree with me. So Bijan Robinson right now, get this. Who disagreed with me that Bijan's number 10? I saw somebody in here make a dumbass comment. Bijan Robinson's on pace for 1,200 rushing yards, 70 catches, and 600 yards receiving, 9 rushing touchdowns, and 2 receiving. And somebody said that Bijan's having a bad year. He's going to have 70 catches. 70 catches and 1,300 yards. Number 9, you're going to see him this weekend, and he's with the Rams. Corinne Williams, Rams running back, who is having an absolutely fabulous season. Kid from Notre Dame. He's playing really good football, and I like what I'm seeing with him. And I think one thing that he has done for his football team is that he's created play action. And when you look at his season so far, he's on pace for 1,300 passing yards or 1,300 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, and 43 catches and 231 receiving yards. You're talking about a guy who's going to go over 1,500 total yards and 20 touchdowns. That's a hell of a season. And you're facing him Sunday. He is one of the under-the-radar players. Okay? I mean, you're talking about a guy with 20 touchdowns. On pace for 20 touchdowns right now. Number 8 is Xander's boy. Xander, you were right, dude. This guy here, I mean, this is my votes this week for the Offensive Player of the Year. Okay? And I'm going to make a topic out of it here in a second. We're going to get to it. This is Xander's boy. I did not think that this kid was this good. I just did not. But boy, I'll tell you what, Jahmyr Gibbs has been absolutely, utterly sensational this season for Detroit. You can make the argument the second best guy in that huddle right now is Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, what a fabulous football season he's having. He's scoring touchdowns. He's rushing the ball well. The other guy's playing great too. He's on pace for 1,400 yards, 40 receptions, and 435 receiving yards. I mean, what an absolutely sensational ball. And he's on pace for 1,400 or 14 touchdowns. That's a guy you're going to see if you are fortunate enough to get to the NFC Championship game. Jahmyr Gibbs is playing great ball. He's going to have he's another guy with 20 touchdowns. Potentially, if he doesn't get banged up. I mean, he's good. Here's another guy flying under the radar. I got him 7th. He is Josh Gibbs for the Green Bay Packers. Look at the season and the impact that he's had on that Packer team since he came over from the Raiders. I mean, you know, you look at certain guys around the league, and it's good to go off the topic of the quarterbacks. But he's on pace for 1,500 yards. How about this one here, guys? He's on pace for 1,500 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, 40 catches, and 320 receiving yards. This guy's on pace for 1,500 yards. This is the Offensive Player of the Year. I've got him 7th. I've got Josh Allen. We know the quarterbacks. I got him 6th. I got Justin Jefferson at 5. This is my vote for the Offensive Players of the Year. Jefferson is without a doubt maybe the best offensive non-quarterback in the league. He is a sensational football player. There's no getting around it. It is a colossal miss. You want to hear something crazy? In just 9 games, he's projected to have 105 catches, 1,600 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I mean, and Sam Darnold's throwing the ball to him. Sam Darnold's throwing the ball to him. I mean, it's crazy. I've got Lamar 4, and I've got the guy that McQuignon did a hell of a job on, and he is having probably a little bit better year than what Justin Jefferson is having, and that's Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is already over 1,000 yards receiving in 11 ball games, which is insane. He's on pace for 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns. I don't know about you, but if you don't pay that guy, Joe Burrow's got to leave Cincinnati. I mean, he's got 1,100 yards already. What an absolutely sensational football player. And by the way, think about this, what Q did to him and what the secondary of the Eagles did to him. I mean, they shut that guy down, and he's on pace for 20 touchdowns and potentially 1,800 yards receiving. That's a hell of a job. That game means more to me than you think, okay? On what the defense did to Joe Burrow, outside of the first drive, they pretty much shut that thing down. At number 2, this is my vote for the offensive player of the year. And for the record, this is going to lead to a topic here, like I said, and it's going to be an Eagle topic here. I got Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry, you couldn't have had a better fit for him. Right now, he's on pace. Hey, Xander, check this out. He's on pace for 1,900 yards, 20 touchdowns. He's on pace for at 6 yards a clip on what Derrick Henry's doing. I mean, he's on pace for 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns. Okay? An absolutely sensational season. He's at 1,100 yards right now, 197 attempts. He's well over 350 carries this year that he's going to have. And my number one guy is Saquon Barkley. Saquon has, I think he's the most valuable player. I disagree with Marcus. I think that matters. Saquon's on pace for 2,000 yards, 1,933, 14 touchdowns, 400 yards receiving. I mean, some of you guys, I can't remember which, said you thought he might have 2,500 yards in total yards. He's on pace for that. Get this. Thank you for the topic. So here's the list. Bijan, 10. Corinne Williams, Rams, running back, 9. Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit, running back, 8. Josh Jacobs, Green Bay, 7. Josh Allen, quarterback, 6. This is for the offensive player of the year. 5 is Justin Jefferson, Minnesota. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson, 4. Jamar Chase is 3, Cincinnati. Henry's number 2, Baltimore. And Saquon Barkley right now is my leader for the offensive player of the year. All this being said, the Eagles are going to cost Saquon a shot at the MVP. Right? The tush push is going to cost him the MVP. Right? You're okay with that? And for context, Patrick Mahomes has a contract where in his contract, if he's the MVP, it's a $1.25 million bonus. So, I mean, we're not talking about chump change here. And he's a running back who's probably on his last contract. The Eagles will cost him a shot at the MVP, right? If Saquon Barkley had 2,000 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards, and he had 12 touchdowns, they're not going to give it to him. Right? The tush push will cost them. I get it. It's about winning Super Bowls. But don't you want to reward a guy who's been your MVP on your team? Don't you want to reward him? He's carried you. And by the way, a guy like him who was asked that question on the sidelines by Nick Sirianni, hey, you want to get your all-time rushing number? No, it's okay. Probably looks at it like, okay. But gee, you want a dagger in the New York Giants' heart, and you want a dagger in everyone's heart, like the Cowboys could have had his ass. And a guy who only cost $8 million, the MVP of the league could be only an $8 million or higher. Fuck. Get this. Look at this. Sills always comes back to money. It's called fucking professional football for a reason, Kyle. Why do you think they call it professional football? You're doing it because you get paid. You don't do anything for free in that league. Comes back to money. Salary caps. Rosters are built over money. What are you talking about? It all starts with money. Okay? Hey, by the way, he's not wrong. Saquon Barkley would take the Super Bowl trophy versus the MVP. But don't you want to reward a guy and giving him a shot at carrying your football team? I mean, that was a great take, Sills. Whole show so far. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, this is a great one here. AJ thought it wasn't nobody more impactful than him. Can you imagine AJ Brown not getting his touches in his game or his targets? So the Eagles took away an opportunity on a metric that you're gauged on MVPs. Hey, you can have all the rushing touchdowns. You can have all the rushing yards you want, but if you're not getting in the end zone, what's the point? Can you imagine if a guy had 2,000 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns, 500 yards receiving, 50 catches, and 6 receiving touchdowns? I don't know how you don't give him the MVP award. I don't know how you don't. I mean, who would have a better year than that? And the Eagles get home field advantage? And they win 13 games? Could there be any more of a... Hey, and he doesn't throw the ball. Can you be more impactful by not throwing the ball than having 2,500 yards and having more touchdowns potentially than your quarterback? I would like them to give him less carry, Sills, save him for the playoffs. I think they, by the way, that's the right take, Sinbad. You're not wrong. I'm asking you a question on what's right here. And you're going to go, hey, fuck the MVP award. I get it. Well, that's what they're saying. That's okay. Man. This guy's having a historic year except for one metric. They're not letting him get in the end zone. Quarterback gets in the metro. You know what this reminds me of? When Tim Tebow was at Florida, and they had a guy by the name of Chris Leak. Leak would drive the team down all the way down to the goal line and inside the red zone. They bring in Tebow, and Tebow would score all those touchdowns. And everyone years later always assumed that Tim Tebow won 2 national titles when he was just a Tyson. You know who Tebow was on that first national title team? Tyson Hill. That's all he was. He was a gadget player on that Gator team. Remember that Gator team, Xander? Chris Leak, you may be too young for that. But Chris Leak was the guy on that team, and they ruined his Heisman chances. I was a voter for the Heisman. And my thing was, he took all those touchdowns away from him, and he took that away, and they still won the national title. Guess what? Somebody else got the credit. Next 4 weeks, define our team. We need Barkley to remain healthy. You're right. You're right. You're right. Seals, Dan Campbell's decision on keeping the starters was reckless. He lost another player, Cosmo. Here's why he does this. Why do you think Dan Campbell kept his guys in? And it's not for the points and all that. Why do you think he kept them in? I'll give you a coaching tip that was told to me. Henry would been good, but Barkley fits better. Yeah, because he can catch the football better. The reason that you keep your starters in is because you're keeping them not to take their foot off the gas pedal. Okay? And I understand that. That's why a lot of coaches do that. You ever wonder why in college or whatever, you see a team blowing someone out, why aren't they taking their starters out? Because they don't want a team ever to let the gas pedal off. You're teaching a team to finish and run through the tape, playing at the same game speed and tempo, and you're not going up and down. You're finding a rhythm. So I get it, and I understand it. It's very, very tricky to do that, okay? Because you can lose players. But I understand why coaches do that, okay? They just don't want their team. All of a sudden, you're playing at this high level, and you don't want your team to all of a sudden pull back and let off the gas pedal. And I do, yes, Charlie, I think that's a mentality. They practice like that. They play like that. They run the drills like that. Chris Spielman has told me numerous times, that's the mentality in Detroit. Full throttle, full go. Let's go, man. It's a very physical mentality in Detroit. And you see the difference in Detroit versus in Philly? The personality of that football team is Dan Campbell. The personality of the Philadelphia Eagles is not Nick Sirianni. Okay? Their personality is different. It's multiple guys. It's a great roster. Personally, I don't even think San Francisco has an identity, and that's why San Fran, that's when you have so many stars on your team, you don't build an identity. Because you have 11 individuals on one side of the ball, that doesn't create an identity. Running the ball in Philly, though, that's not the coach's mentality. That's the roster's mentality. Okay? That's the roster's mentality. Eagles are very aggressive, and it sends a message to opposing defensive players. I don't think they're very aggressive on offense outside of the run game. They're not aggressive in the passing game. And by the way, deep passes don't win Super Bowls. Every time yesterday I brought this up to you too. You know, you bring up that point that Jalen throws a great deep pass. So what? Who gives a shit? Deep passers don't win Super Bowls. Manny had no arm. Brady was okay. Montana was okay. Deep passers don't win Super Bowls. Smart ones do. Checkdowns, high percentage plays, play action, motion, which you're going to see a shitload of this week. That's what wins. Hey, Jalen throws a great deep pass. So fucking what? He's got a great arm. So did Vic. So did Cam. So what? Brady didn't have a great arm. Manning had no great arm. I mean, are you under the impression that's what makes a quarterback is because you have an ability to throw the ball 80 yards in the air? That's stupid. Any quarterback guy or guru will tell you it's in the wheels and in the hips, and it's also in the legs and in the setup. That's what makes a great quarterback, not the arm. It's accuracy and your footwork is what makes quarterbacks. That's what makes them great. Here's Senorita. Eagles beat the Rams last year with Sills saying have great players and phenomenal coach. Hey, they are a phenomenal organization. They've won a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. They are. They've retooled their football team. And they go for Super Bowls, not for 10-1. McVay's a superior coach to your coach. He's one of the greatest play callers. I mean, he's like 3 years younger than Nick Sirianni, and his resume is filled with successes. Coach of the Year, Super Bowl, 2 NFC titles, Super Bowl championship. I mean, your guys won a lot of games. He's won a lot of the most important games. I'll tell you what, you keep Nick's resume, I'll take Sean's resume. I mean, really. Here, let's take a look at that too. I would say he's the best play caller in pro football. Well, those guys were yesterday. Vince Ferragamo and those guys were saying it as well. Super Bowl champion, AP Coach of the Year, youngest head coach in the NFL with 30 wins, youngest head coach to reach a Super Bowl, youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl. He's 7-4 in the postseason. What's Nick? 2-3? Got it. And so far, he's 82-54, 603 win percentage. He's won 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. And he's how old? He's 38. This guy's not even 40 years old. He's not even 40. Okay. Stills are trying to argue Sirianni. No. Why would I argue a win percentage over accolades and winning games that matter? What's his record versus the Eagles? Who fucking cares? He's 7-4 in the postseason with 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. What's your guys in the postseason? 0-1 in a Super Bowl and 2-3. Good night. Take a night off. What are you, crazy? That's like comparing Nick Sirianni to Sean McVay. It's like comparing Jalen Hurts and Mahomes. You can't. There's no comparison. Records don't matter. I know they don't. 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl and a Coach of the Year award. That's what I'm basing it on. Sills explains how Barnett last 2 years is better with the Eagles. Maybe he saw he was about to be out of the league. He's actually looking pretty good down there with the Texans. Sills, let me have your let's see. Yeah, I don't take McVay slander. McVay and the Rams should win since they have Super Bowl winners and a better coach, right? They don't have a better roster than you guys. They don't have a better. Hey, Senor, let me see how completely dumb you are here. Are you under the? Are you saying that Nick's better than Sean McVay? Is that what you're saying? I'm curious. Is that what you're saying? I want to clarify this. Is that what you're saying? You think Nick's a better coach? Do you think he's a better coach? I want to see how stupid this guy is. Nick has a better win percentage. What's that got to do with winning games that matter? Marcus, I'm not wrong about this. He's won more championships. Block that guy, Sills. That was disturbing. I don't know what he said. What I don't know what I don't read dumb shit. 42-19. Get this. Here's Willie. So Nick Sirianni's 42-19, and Sean McVay's got 2 NFC titles in a Super Bowl and an AP Coach of the Year award. What does 42-19 mean? What does 42-19 mean? I didn't hear. I don't read that shit. I don't know what he said. Hey, dude, what do you think? Do you know how many people talk shit on me? You know, the only thing Big Sills hasn't been accused of is murder. Hey, honest to God, man, the only thing I haven't been accused of, truly, or honest to God, is sexual harassment and murder. That's the only things I haven't been accused of. Seriously, Sills, why should I keep watching this show when all you do is shit on the team and talk about what's not good about them? Always Sunny. Well, you missed it then. Go back to being common. Go back to covering your 10-1 team. Go back to just being normal. It's about time you fucking acted like a champion, Always Sunny. Try to act it, man. Aren't you looking for a dynasty? Aren't you looking to be great? Fuck, man. Shitting on your team? I want you to be good, dude. Holy shit. Some of you guys could never be coached. Nick Saban would blow your face off. My God, can you imagine some of these wheelhouse snowflakes in here on an Alabama team with Nick? He'd fucking fire you in a second. Then again, you probably couldn't get through walkthroughs. Jesus criminy. Act like a champion, man. Talk like one. Instead of talking like Joel Embiid. Did he got his booty bandits? Yeah, okay. People should be used to Sills by now. Are you crazy? People haven't been used to Sills in 39 years. Fucking right, Sills. I see something wrong with this team. Thank you very much. Hey, Jay, I want you to win the Super Bowl. How great would it be if all the things that I said were corrected and you win it? Congratulations. I'm saying you got flaws on your team. I'm not saying there's a perfect team out there. I'm not saying you can't get to the game. I said that shit. Man, you guys want perfect conversations. You sound like people who were running for office on the other side. You want everything to be fucking perfect. Sorry, it ain't. It ain't. Hey, the NFL is a democracy. It's not a democracy. Okay, that's not where everybody's equal. Unfortunately, some of you out there want the NFL to be equal, and everybody gets a nice bite of the apple. Well, it ain't like that. Life ain't like that. Not everything is going to be cut perfectly. Some teams are better, some teams aren't. Guess what? Unfortunately, some people in life want everybody to have everything that everyone can be together. Well, fuck that, man. It's a dictatorship in the NFL. One guy's great, one guy blows. You're a serf, you're a king. You understand that? You're either a king or you're a servant in the NFL. That's why most of you can't play in the locker room, because you don't get that. You think everything's equal. Fuck that. You're either a king or you're a waiter. Pick it. I don't want to be a waiter. Just seems like you don't like Hurts. I don't give a fuck about Hurts. I don't give a shit about him. I care about him as a player, not him going on The View and sitting there telling us, hey, great, man, he's a good, hey, Joe has like religious shows and shit, and you guys want to talk about Man of the Year and Father of the Year? Those are great vehicles and platforms for that. This ain't Man of the Year. This is not the Man of the Year award. Kings and servants, pick one. Jesus Criminy. Hey, I'm trying to talk like a champion to you. I just guess you ain't used to being talked to like that. Hey, I'm good, 8-2. Holy shit, man. I don't think I've made it very clear to you. I'm going to bring Xander up here in a second. But I don't think I've made it very clear, and I'm going to make it one more time, and I'm going to define this. Hey, Philly, you need to act more like champions. I mean, you're a star city of champions. I mean, what? 17 Eagles, like I mentioned earlier, 83 Sixers, Flyers in the 70s. You had one in the 2000s with the Phillies and the 80 with the Phillies. Fuck, man. Let's go. Let's go. Boston's kicking your ass. Let's go. All right. I hate to be that guy, man, but I sound like big old bad Sills here, man. Xander calls me the villain of. I mean, hey, without further ado, let me get this. I'm now doing this with this kid. I'm actually writing questions down for him now because you know why? This guy gives me a ton of shit now. And so I'm even writing questions down for him. By the way, he's the co-host of Birds 365. Those guys are doing a great job. Hey, I heard John McMullen go, Xander, Xander's even questioning Kellen now. It's fucking great. I mean, I think he's been Sileo-wise. All that. And please, all super chats will be read, I promise. Without further ado, my friend, the co-host of Birds 365 and one of the rising stars of Philly media, Big C. Xander Kraus.
What's up, Big Sills?
Dude, I got to tell you, man. Let's start talking like champions around here more.
Sills, I push back with you on a lot of stuff. I will not push back on that. You want to be champions, you got to act like champions. I used to fight with people in high school about this because they used to tell me how great we were in the city of brotherly love. And I said, why don't we win nothing? And remember, this is back in 2012, 13, 14, 15. I don't know what. Did Philly do anything in that time period from 12 to 16? I think the only thing we hung our hat on that year was a shot by the Villanova player, Chris Jenkins, at the buzzer. I think that was the only thing we won in the city of brotherly love in that time. So
that's right. Nova was great. The Nova's been great. That's right.
They were good.
Under Rolly and under Jay. Yeah, okay. I forgot about Nova. You're right.
Yeah,
Nova
come
too.
on. I mean, I like Nova and all, and it's cool when they win, but that's not Philly sports winning.
Dude, I'm like, maybe I wasn't clear when I came here that I'm looking for you guys to be and put a dynasty. Hey, Xander, you don't have a dynasty right now because you win a lot of games. You're a good football team and a good organization. That don't make, dude, don't you want to be like the Chiefs and the Patriots and the Cowboys back in the 70s or in the early 90s? Don't you want to be that shit? That's what I strive to be. Don't you want to be Bama winning all those titles? Yeah. How did it feel to be an Alabama fan and an Alabama guy and an alum like that, being part of that shit, Xander? Didn't that make you feel great? Like you walked around with your chest out as a champion all the time.
Yeah, it made me get pissed at the city more. It's a good thing we won the Super Bowl when I was a sophomore. I think at Alabama, we won the Super Bowl in Philly. Yeah, but I got the Alabama. I'm like, this is what winning feels like. This is nice. This is real nice. So,
And when
no,
you
you're right,
lost,
though.
it was
You're right.
like an iconic moment when they
You're right.
lost.
Look, being a champion is a mentality. It's a mindset. It's an approach. It's a lot deeper than just results on the field. It's everything before that. So I understand. I understand you where you come from when you speak like that, and I have no issue with it. And I think everybody in the chat and everybody who listens to us well after the chat that thinks like you appreciates it as well. That's why you have such a big growing audience right now.
And by the way, I saw somebody in here going, I really think Sills wants Hurts to win a Super Bowl. Of course I do, because that makes my show great. It makes it bigger. Who in the world wants to cover Tyrod Taylor or the pizza guy?
One day, Sileo, and maybe I shouldn't say this. One day, Sills, the majority of the people will wake up and learn that if the Eagles absolutely shit the bed, you got a massive show.
Hey,
and if the Eagles dominate and win big and do it and win the Super Bowl, you got a big show.
It's called having an opinion.
It is, but you're on both sides of the aisle, man. You're winning. You're winning.
Well, that's what happens when you have conviction in something.
Oh yeah. Look, I love the way you do sports talk. You know that. I've told you that.
The people that I hate are the ones that ride in the middle there. I can't stand that. I mean, anything in life. I want you're either a king or you're a waiter. Pick one.
Perhaps I'm guilty of riding the middle at times.
No, you're not. You're getting weighed from the first day to today. Huss, you fucking make me get upset. Nobody makes me get upset. Okay, you do.
I've been crushing you recently. I mean, I'm checking off I'm checking off W's like left and right.
So sorry. Hey, I just teed it up for him too. Kiss my ass.
You did. You teed it up on a platter, and I hit a grand slam. Bottom of the ninth, walk off homer.
Yeah, a grand slam. Okay. Hey man, I'll tell you what. We have to keep an eye on though. All supers will go to the top. I got to tell you, man. So who do you think has more rushing touchdowns this year, Derrick Henry or that wishbone quarterback of yours in Philly? He's right now with 11, and Henry's got 13. This thing's going to be nip and tuck between the rushing touchdown leaders. So who do you think wins it?
Jalen's getting closer to that 2 a game mark too, to tush push. Saquon loves going down right at the 1 or the 2 yard line, and then they just tush push it home. No Diddy, by the way. Pause on that one. I think Hurts might win it because who can keep it up? There's only we are in the back stretch of the year now.
He would be the first so-called elite quarterback to ever lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns and not passing touchdowns. Fuck. That's what I'm talking about. Tyson / Jalen Hurts. Hill. I mean, holy cow. Hill. Wow, man. What a gimmick.
You don't give Jalen enough credit in the passing game. He's not a putrid passer.
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Do you think you'll beat out Henry? He's too bad.
Yes. Because
you got 7 games to go.
Because the other guy rushes for touchdowns too.
Yeah, but he's already got 13, Henry. I have the Ravens the Ravens are 7-4, so they're already 1 game ahead of us.
Yeah.
Oh, you might be right.
I think Jalen ends up with 17, 18 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing. I know everybody loves to talk about the total touchdowns.
I'm being sarcastic. It's not.
I know you. Oh, you think? Oh, Sileo's being so. Oh, Sileo doesn't like rushing touchdowns from Jalen. What's new? The sky is also blue. Thank you, Sills. I know. I don't know if it's as great though as some people make it out to be, and not talking about you. I mean, why is that a good thing? It's cool. We get into the end zone a lot.
It's a non-factor,
but it's
It's
have
not.
any great quarterbacks in history even led the league in rushing touchdowns?
No, he'd be the first.
Well, maybe there's a good to that. Maybe there's a silver lining to that.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure there is. All right. Hey, by the way, real quick here, do you think that – so wait a minute. And look, I know what the answer is, but I'm going to throw this out there to you anyway. And I know how. Listen, I know how he's going to fucking answer. So you got a guy who's the MVP of your team right now in Saquon Barkley. Here's a guy that's on pace for 2,000 rushing yards, potentially 2,500 total yards. I put my ballot in today for the offensive player of the year, and I got Barkley number 1, man. And I think that could potentially cost him an MVP. Don't you want to reward a guy for his efforts in carrying your football team? The tush push is going to cost him an opportunity at being the most valuable player of the league.
But Sills, we started this segment talking about being champions. Now you want to win regular season awards?
I don't think there's anything wrong with being the most valuable player in the league.
There's nothing wrong with it, and there's also big incentives on it, so players like to do it. And I understand.
Just a metric that Patrick Mahomes has a $1.25 million bonus in there if he wins the MVP award.
Yeah, I think Allen has like $500K and an escalator. There's a couple of them.
And what I'm saying, he's a running back and not a quarterback, so you're probably looking at his last deal.
Hear me out here.
You're not going to be wrong with what you say.
Let's say the Birds win. Let's say they lose one more game, or even two more games, and they go 13-4. I think that's actually plausible. Let's say you lose to the Ravens and the Commanders, or let's say you lose to the Ravens and the Steelers.
Or you wrap up home field and you.
Yeah, all right. So let's just play that scenario out. Is Jalen going to be in the conversation, even though his stats don't jump off the page?
No, because Barkley's numbers will shine more.
You think so?
I do. I think you're talking about a 2,000-yard rusher, 500 receiving, 2,500 yards from.
He's not going to be a 2,000-yard rusher. No way.
Right now he's on pace for 1,935.
Oh my God, is he? I thought he was at like 1,100, right?
No, but hey, he's on pace for 1935 right now.
11 through 10 games. How could that be on pace for 1935?
I just looked at it. I just saw the escalator here. Here it is. Here's Barkley's numbers here. 1933, 39 catches for 357 and 14 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns in the air. He's on pace right now for 1,933 rushing yards.
Yeah, and Saquon would probably be in the freaking lead if it wasn't for the tush push. I know that's what you asked originally.
That's my point. I mean,
yeah, but I know. I mean, I'm sure Saquon doesn't love that, but I thought it was interesting that.
But I don't think he cares either. I do. I get it. But
yeah, I mean, he clearly worked it into his contract that he didn't. Any of the bonuses would not come from touchdowns because he knew Jalen would be taking them. I don't care. Just get into the end zone at the end of the day. As long as the team gets in, I'm good with it. But speaking specifically about the player award, yeah, it might hurt Saquon. It probably has hurt Saquon. I mean, how many times has he gotten us down to the one and then Jalen, puts it home?
I compared it to that year that Chris Leak won a national title for Florida. He'd go from 20 to 20. They bring Tebow in, and everyone's like, "Hey, Tebow won the 2 national titles." Like, oh, he was Tyson Hill in that first one. He wasn't. In fact, it was Chris Leak who ended up doing that.
I got a Tebow Gators jersey upstairs that my sister got when she was at school, signed by Tebow.
He's a great dude. I mean,
he's a great dude. I like him more as a dude than I ever did as a football player.
Hey, I got to tell you, if you ever met him, and I have, I got to tell you, man, I voted for him for the Heisman. I don't like to say that much because he's a fucking Gator. But I did vote for him because I thought he was one of the most prolific college football players of all time. I mean, he really was. And homeschooled kid, does a lot of nice work. I'll tell you this. If I ever heard a bad thing about Tebow, I would be really stunned and disappointed. He's really a quality kid. Anyway. All right. So let me bring this up to you. This is now starting to get around all you media guys in Philly. And you guys, it's almost like you guys are like a month behind Big Sills, but it's okay. I say something about a month later or what have you. Everyone starts going, yeah, that guy over there, Kellen Moore's the wrong guy for your fucking offense.
Somebody's got to order this guy a bouquet of flowers. He's so butthurt.
Hey, this is like, the butthurt is coming over to gear with no Big Sills.
You're right. And you want me to make it worse for you? I think you missed something very key that John McMullen said. And I think everybody missed what John McMullen said about that 22nd ranking in the passing offense. Now people can say Big Sills is a hater. People can say I'm a homer. John McMullen is neither of the two. He's an objective middle of the guy that's reporting on the team. He doesn't give a shit if they
He
win.
drops a ton of F-bombs, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a ton of F-bombs. So that 22nd ranking, because you were like, oh, well, they're winning by a lot, right? So maybe that lowers the passing offense. Well, that's not the metric. The metric is offensive efficiency in the passing game. It's not about yards. It's not about touchdowns. It's not even about attempts. It takes each one of your passing plays and it grades it on a scale of efficiency by play.
Correct.
So it's not about, oh, well, they didn't run the ball in the fourth quarter. They're obviously not going to pass as many yards. Well, no, we know that. But that's not what they're grading on this thing. They're grading efficiency in the passing game, and they're 22nd overall. They're not a good passing football team right now. Whether you want to believe that or not you, Sills, but people in general, they're not. They're not. They're not a good passing football team. Can we win? We can certainly win. We're 8-2. Can we win big games? I tend to believe we can win big games more than people like Sills or John do because they think you need the passing game. I think we could bully teams out of the game, especially if our defense is playing like this, but it definitely lowers your margin for error, as John always talks about. And Kellen's been a failure because this is why he was brought here. We had a good running game in 22 and 23 and even 21 when they switched after starting 2-5. We've had a good running game. We know. We added Saquon Barkley. It better be a good running game.
You've been good for 12 years. You've been good for 12 years running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And now you added Saquon Barkley, arguably one of the best running back we've ever had in Philly.
Oh,
I think he is. I think he's better than Shady McCoy. I don't know. I don't know how some people,
man.
Look, it's too small of a sample size right now for Barkley in Philly. But I think from a sheer talent perspective, Saquon Barkley is one of the most talented football players I've ever watched.
Yeah, I'm stunned.
Yeah, he's.
By the way, if you're the Giants, you want to hang yourself for that shit. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do the same thing.
I don't know how you and then the whole quarterback fuck up and everything. I mean.
Look at Anton. Look at Anton. Kellen has been awesome. Why? Tell me why, Anton.
Here's where we are.
What have you done that proves to be awesome to you?
Here's where we are. Passing yards, they're 16th. Attempts, they're 25th. Completions, they're 23rd. TD passes, they're 18th. And total offense, they're 22nd. I mean, I don't think the thing has improved at all, and I've been saying that for over a month. It
hasn't improved. The stats bear that out. The numbers bear that out. The efficiency
rate,
everything bears that out. They haven't now. Like I said, I think we're a better team this year. I think we have a better defense this year.
I don't think we're a better coach on offense.
Last year we were what, the number 18th ranked defense or somewhere? I don't know what we were. Were we bottom 10 last year in defense?
I know. Pass defense, you were 31st.
Yeah. So okay, bottom of the. Now you have a 1-ranked defense. That's going to close the gap on a lot of things, right? I mean, if you continue to run the ball well and now your defense
and not turn it over.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing.
That's
I talked about that with Jalen Hurts, why that was so key, because, it makes the downsides are smaller. And when you have a number 1 ranked – now my question is, can the defense keep this up? Now I'm going to start to sound like Negadelphia, and I'm just not like – I'm excited. I love it. Don't get me wrong, everybody. But are we sold that they're going to continue to be the number 1 ranked defense or even play up to this?
Do you think they are the number 1 defense?
They are right now. They are the number 1.
I'm asking you, if numbers sometimes don't matter, when you look at them, do you think they're the best defensive unit in the league? Like, if you had to stop Mahomes, is that unit good enough to stop him?
Yeah.
Can that unit stop Allen?
The eye test does not tell me we're the number 1 defense in the league. Okay. It doesn't.
Let me ask you this. Here's the problem with the offensive side of the ball and why I don't think it's better than even a year ago, except for the turnovers has improved, which means the limited attempts is one of the reasons why that number is better. It's not because he's not turning the ball over more. It's because they've limited him in type of turnover plays. That's what's happened here. So to me, when I look at him, like this weekend against the Rams, do you truly believe that Sean McVay is a lesser coach than Kellen when it comes to play calling, and the quarterback himself with Matthew Stafford is a superior passer than the one in Philly? You're going to be looking at an exceptional play caller and a quarterback who uses a fucking ton of motion this weekend. How is that defense? Now, look, do I think the Eagles have more talent than the Rams? I do. Do I think that the Rams are better coached? I don't know what Chris Shula is going to bring to the table yet on that defensive side. And there's so many young players over there. So I'm going to assume that the Eagles will have the dominant advantage going into this game as a physical attribute because of the run game. As a passing game, though, against that team, in my opinion, if they start throwing the ball against the Rams, they're going to be in a game where they're going to go back and forth because the quarterback on the other side, Matthew Stafford, can keep you in a ball game, and so can Puka Nacua, and so can Cooper Kupp. I think they're better coached. Vic Fangio versus Sean McVay, that's a win for the Rams. And that's as great as Vic is and as great as Vic's been this year.
Yeah, but you know the story of that Vic Fangio shut him down, and then famously in the Super Bowl, who was it that the Rams played that they lost in the Super Bowl to?
Patriots.
And Bill Belichick went back in the archives and took the game that Vic Fangio used against Sean McVay, and he
didn't put a touchdown in the end.
And he shut him down in the Super Bowl, and Sean McVay didn't know what hit him. So John tried to get that out of Vic yesterday. Vic didn't bite on it. But we talked about that a little bit on Birds 365. Look, when I say I'm not, I still have questions about the defense, I can run through it right now in my head. And I think it was Jay Brown just put in a couple players. And Jay Brown, I do agree with you. Vic, I'm sold on. I think Vic is getting the most out of all of these players.
And you know what, too? He's getting player development.
Zach Bond, I'm sold on, but I'm not concerned, but don't you have to wonder if he can keep up this level of
How do you know?
I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but he's playing like the number 2 linebacker.
How do you know he's not James Bradbury?
Meaning what?
All pro year. Next year, he falls off the map.
I don't see that with him.
Well, the Eagles didn't see it with what's his name. They gave him
Bradbury was also
$7 million a year deal.
Bradbury was 30. I mean, Bradbury was older than Bond.
Few years.
Also, by the way, Bond's got a lot. Bond does not have a lot of tread on the tires, dude. He didn't play a lot in New Orleans. He was a special teams guy and a rotational piece. This is the most he played more snaps in one season this year through 4 games than he did almost his entire career down there.
I got somebody ask me a question, and they asked me, what would you do if you're Zach Bond? Just me. This is what I would do.
I'd wait.
I'd tell the guy, I'd go like this. Hey, just get close to 10 to 12 in there. I don't want to leave. I don't want to go. I want to stay with Vic. Vic's not going anywhere. Vic's going to be your coordinator in the next 3 years. He ain't getting another head coaching job. He's 70 years old. He ain't going anywhere. So I want to stay with that guy. And by the way, if you're the Eagles, don't you think that part of the play, that the improvement of Nakobe has been the guy playing next to him?
Definitely. Oh, without a doubt. So you're saying, and look, we were talking about this, and I forget who it was. I wish I could give you credit, somebody in the chat, but somebody alerted me to one time that Howie Roseman paid up for a linebacker. And it wasn't all that long ago. It was 2018. Nigel Bradham signed a 5-year, $40 million contract. Now, that's not $10 million plus a year, but that's $8 million a year right there. And that's back to
you prorate that now to this time, it's probably
$12, $14 million. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, maybe if Howie believes in this. Now, Nigel Bradham didn't finish out that contract. That was signed in 18. That was a 5-year deal.
You're talking about the notion of them going there, though. That's what you're talking about. So they went somewhere.
Yeah, I do wonder if they'll go there, But look, going back to the defense real quick on whether they can sustain this. Jalen Carter, I'm sold on. Linebackers, I'm sold on them being a top 10 linebacking group. I don't know if I'm sold on them being a top 5.
Let me show you this.
Secondary, I'm pretty sold on. Look, I know we've given Slay a lot of crap on this show. I've kind of been saying I like Slay. He's playing pretty good football right now.
I got him. I got the numbers.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the Eagle defense. And I was going to do this later, but let's do it now. Mill Williams is trending for 22 tackles and 5 sacks. 5 sacks, pressure's on the quarterback.
They're not paying him.
They're not going to pay that guy.
I don't think they should either, by the way.
Okay.
You got other priorities coming up. I mean, He's at the end of the day, he's a starter, but he's the
They're going
third.
to draft somebody and
He's
take
the
his place.
third. Yeah, he's the third guy in that rotation. And by the way, Ajomo's been playing good. Not a huge drop off to him. You got
But
Thomas Booker
they're
in the
going to move on.
wings. Yeah, they're going to move on from Millen, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially, by the way, doesn't Zach Bond complicate that?
Yes. Here, let me go here. And here's I'll get to Jordan last. Jalen Carter is on pace for 55 tackles and 7 sacks. That's a Pro Bowl season.
Yeah. Well,
and the disruptiveness in the middle. Okay. Brandon Graham on pace for 30. I can't believe this. 37-year-old guy, 31 tackles. He's on pace for 4.5 sacks. If you told me that you'd get 31 tackles from a 37-year-old guy, a 36-year-old guy, and almost 5 sacks, depending on what the money is, which I don't think will be a lot, I think they bring his ass back. He's had a good year. I think he's been disruptive too. Carter's been great. Williams has been not as good as I thought when I looked at it all. Huff, we're going to get to him in a second. I'm going to leave him there. Here's Zach Bond. 173 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 INTs is what he's trending to. Fuck, dude. I mean, he's going to be in conversation for some first, second, or third team All-Pro team, not Pro Bowl. Like, he's having maybe the best year of any linebacker in the league right now. And he makes $1.5 million. Wow. Nakobe's on pace.
It's just
Nakobe's on pace. Get this here. You're going to get more. Let me add this up here. You had 159 and you had 117. You want to hear something crazy, Xander? Okay. So Bond's on pace for 173. Dean's on pace for 130. That year you went to the Super Bowl, your linebackers had 276 total tackles between Kaiser White and TJ Edwards. You're on pace right now for 303 tackles between Bond and Dean. And Dean's on pace for 130, 2 INTs, and 4 sacks. I'm telling you something, dude. I mean, you couldn't have had – that might just be your best group. I mean, crazy great. Crazy great. And I thought that was going to be a deficiency.
What kind of expectations do you have for this defense through the rest of the year? Like top 5, top 10, maintain what they are?
Let me get through this and
Okay.
let me write that. Remind me of that, please. Josh Sweat's on pace for 50 tackles and 10.5 sacks.
That's pretty good.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Here's Q, rookie year. He has no INTs right now, which I think it just depends on the way the ball bounces. Some years he's going to have them. Some years
does that bother you, by the way? A lot of people it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I don't care at all. It'd be nice to get them, but they're gravy to me. I mean,
no. I think you can't count on INTs.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's nice to have turnovers. It creates big plays for your offense and puts you in a good position, but they'll come. I mean, right now I'm just excited about his coverage abilities.
Correct. Dude, the only thing I care about is, so Jamar Chase is on pace for like $2,000.
I know. He's already over 1,000, dude.
And get this.
He's the only receiver over 1,000.
He's on pace for 21 touchdowns. That breaks Moss's record.
Dude, have you looked at Joe Burrow's stats?
Hey, but wait, he shut him down.
Yeah, I know. Shut him down, shut Mike Evans down, shut all these dudes down. I mean, nobody had a good game versus us. And Jamar Chase has been he put up 279 versus one team. I mean, he's dominating teams. He didn't do anything versus us.
53 tackles. I mean, Jesus. Hey, how about this with Gardner Johnson? Gardner Johnson's on pace for 75 tackles and 3 INTs. I mean, that's sneaky good, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sneaky good. I mean,
that's Gardner Johnson, you said?
That's Gardner Johnson.
Yeah. He had that one tipped right to him, which was still, good play by Isaiah Rodgers.
Here's your boy. Let me tell you something. I didn't think he was going to.
Who's my boy?
Reed might make the fucking Pro Bowl, man.
He could.
He's on pace for 112 tackles and 5 picks.
He's the most underrated player on defense. He's the guy who's manning the communication. Plus, he's got the 3 turnovers. Plus, I mean, he's a solid guy, and I think he's better than CJ.
Yeah, Gardner Johnson is suspect in his run fits.
Well,
and also in his coverage. Yeah,
Yeah,
he gets
his
spun
coverage
around.
is not great. He's been better though.
I don't really think. Obviously, he failed as a corner, and
Look
he
at
does.
Senor. Wrong, Senor. I was the one telling you it was stupid to want Justin Simmons, and you all called me dumb in the chat. Now Reed's playing like a Pro Bowler, as mentioned by Big Sills. Wrong, Senor.
Actually, Simmons is playing decent down there too, though, in Atlanta.
Good, but we didn't need him. That's the
They
point.
need him. They didn't need him. They
We
didn't
need
need
to
him.
make our team better. That was not the spot to do it.
Here's your boy Slay. Slay's on pace for 50 tackles himself. He doesn't have any picks. A lot of people aren't hitting. You know what? A lot of people haven't attacked the numbers like they did a year ago on the Eagles. I mean,
They're not doing it to either side. I mean, look, they're not throwing to Quinion much, and they're not throwing to Slay.
see how misleading that is? Both your corners have no interceptions. Okay? And get this, yet you're number one in pass defense. I mean, how's that possible?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's because, right. I mean, that's fucking insane. I've never seen that. Your corners have no picks.
Well, they're not throwing them. Q hasn't even
You're
given
not going to Slay either.
Well, I think Slay gave up like a touchdown or two, but overall, I like I said, I've said it many times. I'm pretty happy with what Slay's given to us this year. But I don't think Q's given up a touchdown yet. He's like barely given up a couple hundred yards in 10 games. He's been super impressive. Both of those guys have.
Cooper DeJean's on pace. He missed a lot of football, 45 tackles, which is insane great. He didn't even play like the first 3-4 games. I mean, they're using him more and more. That number will probably go up, in my opinion. So you asked the question, well, is this sustainable?
Well, no, just what's your expectation from him for the rest of the year? Is it top 5? Is it top 10? Because, I truthfully think that changes what our season outlook is, because if you look at the offense for what it is and assume, okay, we're going to be the best running team in the NFL and we're going to be a mediocre passing team. Let's just take that assumption and that's what we're going to be in the playoffs. The only way we're going to succeed with that is if our defense plays like a top 5 unit. If they continue to play, I will continue to push back on you and John and say, we can win like this because of the defense and the run. The Commanders game, our most recent game, is the best example of this, because if our defense didn't play so good in that game, Sills, you're not running the ball in the fourth quarter.
If you had a more experience.
Think about this. We went into that fourth quarter with 6 points on the board.
Okay.
6.
Fair. But if Stafford's the quarterback of that Commanders team instead of Jaden Daniels, are you winning?
Maybe not. That's why that's why these next games are such great tests.
Now, that means you have to throw yourself into those games to win those games, Xander. Right. I mean, hey, listen, they did Vic. I heard John, I tuned in for a little bit. I heard John say that was a more favorable matchup for Vic going against Jaden because of his rookie. That's not going to be the case here. Just because you had a great game against him one time, Vic knows too, man. This is my opinion. Don't you think this is going to be your biggest challenge this week because of the 2 wideouts, the running back? By the way, the running back is an underrated rookie on pace for 1,400 yards. I mean, that Williams kid.
What rookie back are you talking about? Because Kyron Williams is not a rookie.
Oh, I thought he was a rookie.
No. Kyron Williams got drafted a few years ago.
Okay, Notre Dame. Okay,
he's a good player.
Get this, I didn't know he was on that roster. I didn't know he was.
I knew him, but that's fine. I mean, he's been around for a little bit, but
he's on pace right now for 13. He's on pace for 1,300 yards right now, 14 touchdowns.
So is this a better test than the Bengals? Because I've thought up to this point,
because the defense is better.
Test. Huh?
Because the defense is better.
The Rams defense is better.
Yes.
Well, the Rams defense is kind of suspect
because they're young.
They're young. You're right,
and they're coming along.
Yeah, I like that Miami guy. I mentioned him to you, Cameron.
Yeah,
he got rookie of the week. Yeah, he's good.
And the other two,
Rams team. You know what my fear is with this Rams team. Not my fear, but just what I think they could try and exploit is the Baker Mayfield style. Matthew Stafford's right now 3rd in the NFL in time to throw. So if they come out, and by the way, you heard what's the guy you had on yesterday? I'm blanking on his name.
Jackie Slater.
Yeah, Jackie Slater yesterday. He's telling you how good these receivers are at knowing defense. They're not just great athletes. Those
They
guys
know how to find space.
They know how to find space. They know their football IQ is through the roof, and you can see that when they play. So you couple that with Matthew Stafford getting the ball out in 2 seconds, and receivers that can find the space in the zone coverage, plus the tape from that Bengals first drive. Remember when they went down the field with Joe Burrow was 12 or 13? That's my fear.
but
They
17
could look at some of the weaknesses. Because, look, the defense has been great, but they've showed there's tape out there on how to beat them. It's just a matter of who can do it best and whether the coaching or whether the players will be able to close the gap on the adjustments. It's interesting because I have a feeling Matthew Stafford's going to come out. He's going to be firing that ball.
For
and
me,
he's going to get rid of that thing quick.
For me, the Rams have to score first. If they want to be in this game, they've got to get up on them 14-0. They've got to something like that to force them into passing the ball. Because if they get on them first, then the ability for them to be able to run the ball. Remember something here. What happens when you get up on a team like the Rams, Matthew Stafford knows how to work that clock. Plus, they have a running game, dude. And they have play action there now. And they're getting better and better. That 5-5 record of theirs is an illusion because if you remember right, at the beginning of the season, dude, Nakua was out, Kupp was out, half the offensive line was out. Like I said, as you're getting healthier, they're getting better and they're getting more efficient in throwing the football, and their younger players on the other side of the football are getting better and better and better with more playing time. Now, again, my question with the Rams is, you're playing a lot of young dudes on that side of the ball. A.J. Brown running around in the secondary on that fucking young defense, that's not something you've got to get pressure on Hurts in this game because
the problem with
you're so young over there, dude.
You're right. And you look at that on paper, you should say, okay, A.J. Brown's going to have a field day, but isn't the Eagles passing game in theory, from a game plan perspective, isn't it easy to defend?
Yes,
because the deep ball.
They're predictable still. They're going to the numbers. They're not really doing.
They don't have much of an intermediate game. They don't run a lot of slants. They don't use the middle of the field much. Like if you're a young unit, you can say, take this away and force them to beat you here.
It's not creative.
It's not. I don't know.
It's very vanilla. If you think about it, they, at the beginning of the year, if you remember right, the first 3 games, they did a lot of motion. They've completely gone away from that. In this game, you are going to see a lot of disguised motion because the quarterback is so skilled. You're going to see post-snap motion. You're going to see a ton of shit. How is that? And like Vic said it too. I thought he was right on. The question is going to be for the young players. This is going to be a really great test like Cincinnati. They passed that. There's no doubt, Xander, the number one test so far this year has been Cincinnati and what they did in the secondary. But Cincinnati didn't use a lot of motion in that ball game because Higgins was out.
To beat anybody. So
Higgins was out. And now you've got 2 comparable players, like you said, that know how to get in space, and a quarterback who knows how to just completely put his head on a spit and go like this, Xander. And he looks at the entire field. He sees it all, and he knows pre-snap. He knows where his audibles are going to come from in case he sees blitz and pressure, where it's going to come. He's got an idea of landmarks. Stafford is one of the 8 best players on the planet on being in the pocket. The key to him, in my opinion, he's a spot player. You got to get him off his spot because he's not going to try to run for shit. He's a guy that's going to be more of a player that you've got to move around and get pressure on.
So you're thinking blitz in this game?
No. You've got to just,
man coverage?
No, they're not going to play man. They're going to stay in that zone.
So
front four's got to get there. The front four's got to.
I agree with what you're saying, but
I think the front four's going to. I think the front four. Vic's going to go. The front four has been effective, dude. And that old line.
I know.
Here's the thing, though. Stafford gets the ball out.
Stafford player. This guy is closer to Brady IQ of football than a rookie. I get it. I love our front four. I believe they can get there. Stafford's going to say, thank you for the zone coverage and thank you for the 2.5 seconds. It's all I need. Drop back, get the ball out. Drop out, get the ball out. If they don't play any man coverage and they don't bring any blitzes, I got news. They're not going to knock Stafford off his spot. Even if they're getting there and getting pressure, they're going to get home maybe a couple times. You're not going to knock Stafford off his spot.
Okay, well, if you bring pressure on that guy,
I know.
you better have disguises that guy doesn't know, because Xander, he will sniff that shit out, because
he'll burn you. Yeah.
I agree will burn that defense doing that, because he's got his guys in there. And I think the most important thing that the Rams have this year that they didn't have a year ago when you played them is that they have a formidable running attack now. They've gotten better in the O-line because the quarterback doesn't hold the ball that quick. And you pointed out, he gets it out.
Yeah.
And
third in the league right now. Third in the league in time to throw.
That is so – it's because the quarterback's IQ. When you have a quarterback that holds the ball too long and he's down at the bottom of the league, those are the guys that you know are not going to beat you in the passing game. When you got a quarterback that's at the top of the game and you see how quickly he gets it out, those are the guys you fear, Xander. The guys like Hurts who are down at the bottom, those are the guys that are not going to beat you in the passing game. The guys that are in there, like you said, Stafford's third, those are the guys that know exactly where to go with the ball.
Yeah, no, they do. And this is why I do think, I mean, I don't want to say it's a favorable matchup for the Rams, but they like it on their side because you got Stafford, who knows how to read the zone defenses and gets the ball out quick. You got Cooper Kupp, who's the king of finding holes in the zone defenses. And you got Nakua, who's also really good at that. And he can open up the field a little bit, down the field a little bit more. You know, I hate comments like this, though. Metronics, he says, wait, are they undefeated? No, they're not undefeated. You're playing in an NFL game, dude. This isn't Alabama versus Mercer, like Sileo says.
The record
take every game seriously. Are you guys? I know we're better than the Rams. That's the whole point. But if we knew we were going to win, you wouldn't play the games. You got to go win. You got to approach every team. I know everybody says, "Oh, the Rams suck."
See this right here?
Stafford doesn't suck.
See this right here? Rams are 5-5.
The running backs don't suck. They're a little suspect on the O-line.
Look at that. Does the best team with the best record every year win the Super Bowl? The answer is never. Okay, last year the Ravens had a 14-win, and guess what? A team that had as many wins as you did a year ago won the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you what. Hey, Jordan.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, Jordan, if the Eagles had the mentality that you had, they'd lose every game.
No shit.
If the Eagles had that mentality, they'd lose every game.
Then let me ask you this, Jordan. Why are you in tight games versus the Jags and the Browns? If the Browns suck and they only win 2 games, why are you only beating those teams by 4 points? If you're so superior to a 2-win team, why did the Jags have a shot going down the field at the end of the game for a game-winning touchdown throw when they've only won 2-3 games? That's a flaw.
Bad way to view it. It's just a bad way to analyze it.
It's a bad way to view an NFL game. That team is not a 5-5 team, is what Xander and I are saying, because they're healthier now. If you go into that game on Sunday, and the Eagles won't go into that game thinking what this guy thinks, you're going to get beat. If you go into the game thinking you're better and you stick to your guns on what you do, you should come out of this thing with a victory. Don't go in like Jordan, because Jordan doesn't know his fucking ass from his hat.
Everybody wants
stupid thing.
Oh, they're going to destroy the Rams because we're so great. No.
You haven't fucking destroyed anybody but Dallas.
Man, we destroyed a couple teams.
Who? 2-win teams? The Giants? Great.
The Bengals?
That's a takeaway. The rest of those games are not takeaways to me.
We destroyed the
shitty Giants. I could fucking care less about that.
I could too. I'm with you on that. But hey, look, Bob Brown.
The 2 teams that I take away, the 3 teams. And no, not even, because like you said, it was week 1. The Commander game and the Bengal game are the only games that I walk away going, hey, man, there's something here that could be special by the end of the year. At the end of the fucking day, the rest of those bum games you played, you were a better roster than those. And that's plain and simple. You're just a better roster. That's it. The Bengal game and the Commander game you take away from. Now you got a game this weekend versus, by the way, you don't have the advantage in offensive play calling. You don't have the advantage in quarterback. You might have the advantage at wideouts, kind of a push. Kupp's great too. Kupp's
different type of receivers, different types, 2 different types.
Yeah.
I mean, their group compared
You
to
got
ours.
the advantage in the run game and in the O-line.
Yeah,
Get this.
I
Guys
say
says they're moving to go. Stafford's a better quarterback than Hurts. Sean McVay's a better play caller than Kellen Moore. I don't know what else to say to you guys. That's not moving the goalpost. Those are fucking facts. Do you want to know something else too? Sean McVay's 38 fucking years old, and he's won 2 conference titles, a Coach of the Year award, and a Super Bowl. I mean, you're talking about an elite play calling head coach. And you know what you guys are giving me? 42-19. You can eat that record. I'll take that guy's fucking resume any day over any coach in the NFC. Any coach in the NFC.
There's another stupid comment. Moiter Ferreira, or whatever the hell your name is. Drake May with the trash O-line and trash weapons embarrassed that Rams defense.
They
Moiter,
were
do you
early
really
in the
believe that that's a way to analyze a football game, that another team did well against them, so that means we are? We barely beat the Jags, and the Lions just beat them 52-6. Do you factor that in?
Hey, by the way, you lost to Atlanta, and Atlanta got beat by Carolina.
Yeah, it's just not. It's still the worst. It's one of the worst ways to look at games. Oh, that team beat them by this much, so that means we're going to win big. Stupid. There's no. What does that mean? It's a stupid take, dude. Congrats to Drake May, but what does that have to do with the Eagles playing the Rams this week? It's a different game, different matchups, different teams, different coaches. I mean, come on, bro. You're better than that.
I mean, here.
This is a must win. I know people don't like to hear that, but if we want a chance at the 1 seed, this is a must win game.
Yeah, because you know why? If I'm not mistaken, I mean, who does Detroit have this week coming up? I got that written down here. Hang on. Who does Detroit have?
I don't think they have a hard match this week. I think they have a hard one next week.
Is it Jacksonville? No. Oh, wait, they do. It's Indy. That's going to be a good test.
They don't scare me. I'm sorry.
Okay, Indy's not bad, dude. Indy's
They're not bad.
They can jump on you.
Detroit's shown that they'll take advantage of a team like that. We'll see how it plays out, though. Detroit's toughest thing. I mean, they have the Niners, they have the Vikings, they have the Bills, and they have the Packers still left. So they got some teams. I mean, they got the Bears twice, so put them in there. But the Bills that's no small task. The Niners are still a tough out. Packers and Vikings. I mean, it should be interesting to see how they finish up.
We got Mark Combs, and I'm serving him up for you guys here because he has nothing to talk about in his shitty Cowboys. Philly 500 couldn't make it. He texted us. Before we go to the Super Chats and we go to that, I submitted my Rookie of the Year defensively ballot this week.
You got verse?
What?
You got verse?
I got my 10 that I have to vote for.
You got 10. Okay.
You want to hear them? Last week, and they're different every week.
I think you gave them to me yesterday. Go ahead.
No, I didn't submit it. I went and I did more homework on it.
Gotcha.
Previous week, Q was 5th on my list. This is this week. I got verse 1, Rams. I've got Quinyon Mitchell, 2, Eagles. I've got Kamari Lassiter, 3, Texans. Great performance I thought he had against the Cowboys. 4, Latu, Indianapolis, 4. I got Cooper DeJean, 5, Eagles. 6, linebacker I love from day one, Edrin Cooper, linebacker, Green Bay. Number 7, Braden Fisk, Rams, defensive tackle. 8, guy I loved, Chop Robinson, Dolphins, edge. Number 8. Number 9, Nate Wiggins, Ravens, cornerback. And number 10, Texans. I'll tell you what, the Texans and Nick Caserio are fucking doing a great job at drafting. Caitlin Bullock, safety. I got a 10. So here's the 10 guys that I submitted this week. And Q is rapidly, like I told everyone who had cows last week when I had him 5th or 4th, whatever it was. He's now 2. So I got verse 1, Q2, Kamari Lassiter 3. He's playing great in Texans. Latu, Indianapolis 4, DeJean 5, 6 is Edrin Cooper, linebacker Green Bay, Fisk Rams 7, Chop Robinson, Dolphins, 8. Nate Wiggins, 9. And Kalen Bullock, Texans, safety, number 10.
It's pretty
Those are
good. That's defensive, right? Because someone said Joe Alt. No,
that's Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Yeah. Well,
Right,
Q's moving up that list. I mean, I think for him to win that, he's got to get some picks.
You're right, because it's going to be a stat award at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're going to have some stats. I mean, I do think the prime time, shutting down people will make them.
It does.
Zach Bond was on with, I know he's not a rookie, different combo, but he was on with like NFL Good Morning Football or something today, and I'm like, boy, this guy's getting a lot of media love now. Howie's looking at the cash register going up and up and up. Let's go to some supers here. Look at how he's sunny. He's messing. Still, so should I lose all hope as long as Hurts is QB? Should I just stop watching the Eagles until they find his replacement? Should I burn all my Birds gear?
Guy's being a dick. No, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you right now, the weakest link in your huddle is your quarterback. You have a roster, and I said it. I ate crow. I told you guys, you have a Super Bowl offensive roster. You got a quarterback that you've got to count on, not to turn the ball over and be efficient. That's all you're counting on him to do. And can you get there? To Xander's point, I pointed out about 16 different guys who have gone to Super Bowls who have been average and have had exceptional talent around them. You can get there, and Jalen's not going to put 4 games in a row where he's playing great. He never has, especially in the playoffs. But he can get to one game and play like he did in that Super Bowl. That's my take on him.
Just don't turn the ball over, please. Don't get.
Yeah, and by the way, Verse is on pace for 10 tackles or 10 sacks and 71 tackles as an edge rusher. Just so we're keeping score there.
Forte says 1 play to Crow is not enough. I like it, Forte. Devin Shanahan checks in. Love Devin. You're a good guy. He says no gray areas in anything in life. Greatest lessons I've taken is not a word taken from Sills. Right or wrong, that's it. I love it.
My grandpa told, hey, Devin, my grandpa used to always have a rule with me. There's no such thing as gray area. You're either right or wrong. You're either good or bad. There's no gray area. Life's not a bell curve. It's just not.
It's a good take. Good stuff, Devin. Thank you, man. Flexen and Steppen says big W's, and they said the channel wouldn't last. Flex, we just getting started, baby. Woo!
Yeah. Dude, they do every. Hey, my boy Xander, man. Hey, I don't think you guys here. Hey, listen, I'm going to say so. I'm going to give Xander some love here for a second. Hey, I don't think you guys give this dude enough credit because he runs his fucker. His dad oversees it, but he runs the entire thing. And I'm going to tell you something, man. Homeboy's done a great job at keeping this thing. And you know what he did? Here was Xander about, watch this. Here was Xander about 6 months ago. Watch this. This, you know how you're in the ocean and the waves are coming up like this? Watch this. And all of a sudden now, Xander's like this right now. Now he's looking like this. He's looking around. Dude, kudos, man. I don't tell you enough.
Can't thank, I mean, the people make it happen.
Thank you.
Always Sunny checks in. Did we read this? Yeah, we read that. That shit take from Always Sunny. All right, good stuff, everybody.
Yeah, I got to take a time out because I've got. Oh, here. Oh, I wait a minute here. Hey, Philadelphia sports fans, I want to do something here for you. Do you know when you go to the zoo and you see that lion there and he has to be fed? And what you do is you feed him a sacrificial piece of meat. And you just throw him out there. Eagle fans. I'm not going to take a timeout. Not going to do it. So what I'm going to do
is here. Let me get out of
here. Yeah, Xander, great stuff. I love you, man. Great stuff as always. Make sure you catch him, guys.
Let me just tell one guy on the way out. Yo, Clay, fuck you, Clay.
Yeah,
all right. Thanks,
everybody. The best F-bombs. Thank you, Xander. Hit the like button, guys. Holy shit. This is going to be fabulous. Folks, he has agreed to come on, and I'm going to give him a lot of love. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, he has decided to come on the program, and he is not shy. For your entertainment, the Dallas Cowboys' #1 podcaster, Mark Holmes, is here now for your pleasure. Eagle fans, Mark Holmes. There he is.
Why am I here?
I don't know. Hey, Mark. By the way, guys, please hit the like button and don't forget our friends at BetUS. Take a shot. Take a shot. You're going to need it here.
You know, it's actually got to the point where I've moved on beyond the pain to where it's just comical. Because it's literally at the point where everything Jerry Jones does blows up in his face. You know, he talked about, you know, what do you want me to do? Destroy the place, you know, because of the curtains? And literally pieces of the stadium start falling from the sky. It's
2 pieces fell.
It's literally insane how bad the Cowboys are. It's kind of like, I'm just numb to it now.
Did you go to the game?
I was at the Eagles game. Yes, I was there at the. Yeah, I was there. I was looking for you in Philly 500. I'm glad you didn't show up because that would have been. I'd been diddied on that one.
How about this?
Mm-hmm.
When you watch your football team, I mean, I cannot believe Jerry Jones puts that product out on the field right now. What are you telling your fans right now? Now there's word about Deion Sanders potentially being the head football coach. I mean,
okay, let's stop here for a second. What player or coach has never been not listed with the Cowboys? Right? And anytime there's anybody out there, you know that A, everybody wants to embarrass the Cowboys right now. B, everybody wants to talk about who's going to be the solution. If you're Deion Sanders, who's an alpha male, who's used to having everything he wants and wants all the attention, do you think that Jerry Jones wants to share that with Deion?
Wouldn't it make it so though that he could get back to being a football guy instead of worrying about being P.T. Barnum?
I don't know what Jerry wants.
Dude, being P.T. Barnum has not resulted in wins.
No, it doesn't. This has been a 30-year experiment to prove that Jimmy Johnson was just another guy.
That's right.
That's what it all amounts to. Is he's still trying to prove that I'm greater. And you know, when I sit there, I sat there in the stadium, which is a beautiful stadium. The sight lines are incredible, but you look at that as an empty vessel. This is like, you know, the guy that's 65 years old with a little dick that goes out and gets a Maserati to try and impress the chicks. He's still the same guy with the little dick and everything else. He's trying to compensate for everything else. I apologize. Maybe that wasn't the best way to put that, but literally the way we've been bent over and all that, I'm kind of miffed. You know, goes back to everything that everybody said about the Cowboys. They don't care about winning. The product that they're putting out on the field, the lack of desire to sign anybody, the draft picks that have all blown up in their face. This is literally everything that's up there. And this is how crazy it gets. That Cooper Rush right now, his EPA is 40th in the NFL. Jesus. Not that Dak was doing any better, but you literally traded for a guy that you say right now, Cooper Rush gives you a better chance to win. How fitting is it that the Dallas Cowboys have had the 2 biggest draft busts in the history of football with Ryan Leaf, and now you have to put Trey Lance in there as well on their roster. This is what Jerry Jones, the genius, the guy who's best suited to fix it, has done.
How about this here too? And I have said this about Parcells' run in Dallas here. I think as Bill was building that roster up, finding guys like Tony Romo and all that, I think he started to see another creation of Jimmy Johnson starting to build his football team
and got
up.
rid of it.
And I think he got rid of Bill, and I think he pulled the carpet out from under Bill because he saw what Bill was starting to do, and he was putting the Cowboys back on track again with quality coaches. Sean Payton was in the building as a coordinator for you guys at one time. He put a great staff together. You know,
and they actually went out in free agency at that time because you think about them bringing Terry Glenn, T.O. Out there. They had actually were building, and that 2017 was a great team that was put together.
I think
Unfortunately,
he
the Giants
undermined
did.
Parcells,
Yeah.
though. I think he undermined Parcells. He didn't want to have another Jimmy in the building. And his
Mhm.
only two coaches that were really winning coaches for him were Bill and Jimmy. And
Yeah.
he didn't want to see it again. And that's why that Parcells
He
experiment
wanted,
was
I
cut
guess,
shorter than what Jimmy was.
Mhm. So,
I mean,
am I not getting Philly 500 here so you guys can tag team the old guy?
no. Philly has something else to do. He said that
Oh,
piling
okay.
on Mark right now. I mean, he said, watching. Did you have an Eagle jersey on?
No.
Oh, I thought I saw you in a green Eagle jersey, man.
No. Oh, things are low, but they're not that low, bro. You
Okay.
know what? At this point, I deserve all of the shit that I mean, trust me, believe me. Everybody is having a good time. Man, they should. They should laugh and make fun of us. What I'm actually hoping, and this is what I tell Cowboy fans, that what's happening right now, where you are literally the biggest joke in the NFL, and this is where I can't even believe this. If you want to buy tickets to the Cowboys versus Cincinnati, upper level tickets are $37.
That's insane.
You can buy end zone seats, lower level, for $149 right now.
Those are $350 tickets just to some people out there, just so you know. Those
Usually at the lower end. When I
lower,
first looked at tickets for Cowboys Eagles, they were $400 for upper level seats.
that's right.
And right now, $149 gets you lower level in the end zone.
That's
This is the
probably
best.
a what, $1,000 ticket normally.
$1,500 seats.
Yeah, $1,500 seats are going
Yeah.
for $100.
And so the best thing can happen to Jerry Jones is that Monday Night Football game that they wanted to flex out of there, the place is going to be empty. You're going
So
to
let me
see, because they give you all the towels, that it's going to be, this is what you brought, Jerry. This is what you not spending money has done. That maybe hitting rock bottom will be what changes them.
so let me ask you this. So the Turkey Day game was going to be Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito. Is that right?
Yeah, hey, this game is
That's the
important.
Turkey Day game. Is
That
Tommy
is that game
DeVito
is
versus
important.
Cooper Rush.
Yes. This is two teams that are trying to race for the bottom. Who can be worse? See, this is where the Cowboys actually control their destiny, because they play Carolina and they play the Giants. If you lose those two games, you're moving up a couple of spaces on, draft
Okay,
capital.
that's where I'm going now. What position do you think the Cowboys in April have to attack if they want? Look, I think you're 5 years, maybe 3 years behind the Eagles right now, and the way that they've been drafting, and maybe even Washington, the way that they're ascending right now.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what position do the Cowboys attack in April?
Well, I think they're going to be around. I think they're going to be around 6 or 7 as far as drafting. Everybody is
Will
getting
they be
on
able to go after Travis Hunter?
I think they will. I think Travis might be there. But you have to look at the Jets right now, talking about benching Aaron Rodgers. You think that they're going to win another game? So you've got the Giants definitely skipping over Drew Lock to go ahead and go to DeVito. That says we want to make sure we don't win any other game. So I don't know.
I think if Deion
they're gonna be a
Sanders
top
becomes the head I think if Deion Sanders becomes the head football coach, you get Travis Hunter.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. And Deion might be, where Deion can kind of go and let teams know, my son is not going to play for you. Don't even think about drafting.
You can't get rid of Dak. That contract prohibits it because he's got no trade.
I agree on that 100%.
But get this, I'd rather have Travis.
Yeah, that would be a difference maker. The Cowboys have so many holes right now going to this game against Washington. I can't believe that I'm almost looking and saying we got almost no chance in this one. We have Tyler Smith, looks like a high ankle sprain. He's still being evaluated. You've got Guykin is still hurt with a shoulder. And now you've got Zach Martin, who literally is now blocking at ghost. He's getting beat left and right. He's probably out this week. So you have no offensive line. You don't have a running game. Washington, probably Dan Quinn will want to embarrass the Cowboys like everybody else. So it doesn't look good, regardless of what Micah Parsons saying we're a good team.
Here's where I think the Cowboys made the biggest mistake this offseason. They waited too long. They waited too long on these contracts with CeeDee Lamb and with Dak, that it consumed the majority of their time. do you understand right now, Mark, that Josh Jacobs is on pace for 1,500 yards? You have Henry on pace for $2,000. Barkley's on pace for $2,000. All these guys were available for the Cowboys to sign, and they bring Zeke Elliott back, who was a fucking relic. And on top of that, they waited until the 23rd hour to sign those deals, and it took them off the ball on fitting like this. Depth, running game, defensive line, linebacker play. I mean, you know why your secondary is getting, that secondary is better than what people think. But you know why they look shitty this year? You're getting no pressure outside of Parsons, and you can't stop the run again. This is a third-year issue with the Cowboys not being able to stop the run and the shitty linebacker play. It's affected the secondary like the Eagles were affected a year ago when they were 31st against the pass. Now all of a sudden, they're in the top two.
If you're not getting a pass rush, if a guy's got 4, 5, 6 seconds, eventually somebody's going to break open.
That's right. And you've got more open design wide receiver routes. They mature, which means this. You're playing right in your face, and these guys, instead of playing under the sticks, those wide receiver routes are developing more, and it makes it harder for that secondary to cover. The Cowboys have good secondary guys. There's some really good players on that side of the ball, but you're getting no pressure, and you can't stop the run.
Well, a lot of it is, and I have to 100% agree with you, that the Cowboys always wait till the last minute to do anything. And it's not just those contracts. They always feel like at the end of training camp is our time to sign bargain basement guys. They're bringing in, USFL guys. They're bringing in guys that have been on a roster for a couple of years. They're bringing in old guys. And the fact that you're bringing them in after training camp, they don't have time to even learn your system. And they feel like, well, we can just plug a guy in and he's just going to be a baller. Sorry, the Cowboys have made so many mistakes that every single one of them have blown up in their face. They don't believe in free agency. They don't want to sign anybody that's got a big contract. And see, here's where I look at it and say, here's where you're wrong, Stephen Jones, about believing in your own guys. Which would have been better? Signing Michael Gallup to a $32 million guaranteed contract with a torn ACL, or going out and getting a free agent that you'd only be tied up for 2 years with, that if it doesn't work out, you let him go. That's the kind of mistakes that they make. Yeah, I see Philly 500 saying he's sorry he couldn't make it. I'm sure you are, man. They need comic relief. The people are coming here to see me get slayed.
I said that. I said that I was giving Eagle fans today the ability to watch misery. That this right here is my gift to them. Is Mark Holmes right now looking in the face of misery? Look at this right now. I mean, look. I mean, it's just misery, dude. Wait, here's another one here for you. Ready? Okay. If you're Dak Prescott, why the fuck are you staying in Dallas? You're never gonna win a Super Bowl in Dallas. And here's a guy that is it just about paycheck with him, or is this really about? I can tell you what it really is. Do you want a legacy or not? Because if you want a legacy, maybe you demand your way out of there. There's a lot of football teams. Mark, if Dak Prescott goes to San Francisco, they win a Super Bowl.
I agree. And, as much as everybody says, well, Dak sucks, he was the only thing that was holding this team together. You can see with Cooper Rush out here how pathetic it really gets. But here's the thing.
Or Dak in Pittsburgh. How about Dak in Pittsburgh?
Well, Pittsburgh right now doesn't seem to need him. They ended up beating Baltimore this past week. They're doing pretty good right now with resurrecting Russell Wilson's career. But as far as Dak goes, and talking to his Uncle Philip, who it was his sister and him that basically raised him, that Dak literally as a 5-year-old kid is running around with the Emmitt Smith shirt on and a plastic hat saying, I want to play for the Cowboys. So it's always been his dream to be here with the Cowboys. And I think ultimately his hopes and dreams are that he can be the one that gets him back to prominence. It may be a pipe dream. The chances of it, as long as the Cowboys are currently constructed, I just don't see it. The only way.
Can I tell you what I would do?
What's that?
If I were Jerry Jones, I would call Troy Aikman
Mm-hmm.
and ask Troy Aikman to be the general manager of my football team, like John Lynch is the general manager
Mm-hmm.
of the San Francisco 49ers. And what I would have John Lynch do, I would have Troy Aikman ask him if it is possible that he would be the general manager of my football team and let him run football operations and let him pick a coach, let him pick talent, let him. And by the way, he's coveted that job before, and he's been asked that question about being the GM of that team. And he has said he would be open to listening. I know Troy very well, and Troy would be open to listening. Can you imagine having Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and all those guys having an impact? And I'll tell you why that works. Right now, Chris Spielman is working with Brad Holmes up in Detroit, and Brad Holmes is hitting on every single draft pick in Detroit. Same thing going on with Martin Mayhew. When Martin Mayhew was in San Francisco with John Lynch, they hired a guy like Martin Mayhew, who was the former general manager of the Lions. They put that 49er roster together because those guys, they missed on Trey Lance, but the rest of those players like Fred Warner and the guys who found people, they did a nice job. I would ask Troy Aikman to be the general manager of my football team. What do you think?
The question, but here's the problem, and this is what I say all the way around. If you ask the solution, who should be the coach or whatever, it all depends on what Jerry Jones is. It doesn't matter if Jerry and Stephen Jones are still the GM and the ones running this organization. They have screwed it up. Stephen Jones does not know how to do a contract. Jerry Jones is at the point where he'll listen to whatever anybody says, and they're not making football decisions. I would love to see something like that happen. I would love that Jerry Jones would actually come to a press conference and say, you know what? I've been trying for 30 years to fix this, and I finally have the solution. The solution is I'm too close to this, and I and Stephen Jones need to step away, and we're going to get the best GM out here to go ahead and get the best coach and organization together. That would be the dream scenario. But as long as Jerry Jones is believing that he's the best person for doing the job, and that literally, I still believe in those guys in the locker room, we are literally the Raiders the last few years of Al Davis being there.
How about this? If you get Deion Sanders to be your head football coach, do you go to Dak Prescott and go, Dak, do you really want to be here still? Do you want to go somewhere else? Because we want to really move and get Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
And would you do that? And remember this, moving that salary is going to be quite difficult. A task because it's $60 million, obviously. I don't know how they could restructure that contract if he goes somewhere else, because someone just pointed out to me if he goes to the Niners, it's cap issues. There's no question that money creates a lot of cap issue. I think they overpaid for Dak, but again, it's the market. I get it.
The market and the time that they wasted.
Trevor Lawrence just got $55 million, and they're not winning dick down there too, so I get it.
Well, here's the other thing.
To get Deion, I would ask Dak, hey, Dak, would you be open to being moved? And if I'm Dak, I know I'm not going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas. How old is Dak Prescott right now?
30 years old.
Okay, he's 30. Do you see in the next 5 years the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl with him as quarterback?
Not unless they change the ways they're doing.
And not because of Dak. I'm talking about because of leadership.
Not unless they change what they're doing. And even so, you've got to look at it and say, yeah, you got to look at this and say that next year is going to be a rebuilding year, unless you're going to go out there and really be aggressive in free agency.
The next 2 years, probably.
Yeah, right. So you're talking about Dak being on the later years. I would look at it differently. One, I'm going to say, I think that the salary cap is going to jump more than what they think it is. With them getting like Netflix involved, the gambling money, Lord knows the gambling money is out there big time, that you may have the salary cap jump up like it did another $40 million. I would look at this and not say that maybe I need to get rid of Dak that first year, because, with your rookies, you're not paying that much per year for your quarterback. Currently, the Cowboys have $20 million. They got $21 million. They got 20 already on the cap next year.
So he's on an escalator?
Well, Dak is actually an 80. This is with Dak Prescott being an $89 million hit. You could throw some of that, flick the trigger on him, and grab some more. The Cowboys could easily get $100 million. I would say if you can draft Sador, maybe you end up doing like you did with Jordan Love. You give basically Dak one more year here, and you start bringing the guy up, and then look to move on from him later, because then you're looking at
so you draft him
and
with
have
the
him sit on the
fourth
bench,
pick.
give him some time.
I think there's a better. That's a great take, because I'll tell you what, there's a better chance that Shedeur Sanders is there at 5 than Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
And there's a better chance if you draft Deion's kid at 5, you bring him into the building and Dak's still there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you pull a Michael Penix and a Kirk Cousins deal, and you have him, the Cowboys drafting a quarterback. And by the way, maybe you then entertain the fact of moving Parsons to try to get yourself additional first rounders.
Additional draft picks, right. And, maybe it ends up being that you say to Dak, Dak, listen, we're going to be going in that direction. You can pick the team that you go out with. You're then able to kind of look and make his contract a little bit more friendlier to the next guy. If you go through next year, currently as it stands, your dead money is $150 million. If you wait till the next year, your dead money is only 61. So from that standpoint, and then you're not getting your rookie quarterback killed from day one, and you have a chance to really build something for the future.
I'm curious, though, just, shits and giggles here. How does it taste watching the Eagles at 8-2 right now, and then beat your fucking doorknobs off? How does it feel right now watching that team ascending with all their young talent that they have? And you guys are spinning out of control like the Titanic going down. How does it feel watching that team just, they're here.
My team is unwatchable.
Can I tell you this? They're like Tiffany's. You know what you guys are? You're like the dollar store.
Don't insult the dollar store, man.
Hey, we get eggs there. I'm good.
We're more like a secondhand store, man. It hurt. I'll be honest.
Playing against sports. Okay.
Here's what's interesting with my channel. Okay. The number one city, going by the analytics that people watch, is from Dallas. The number 2 is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I have been trolled to the point where literally I got this guy, Leo Bridgewater. Okay. If you need some weed, that's the guy to talk to, because he works with the veterans and everything. And he's really big time. And he's a channel member, and he came on my show last week.
Send me his email.
And he literally, he's working on a Dallas Cowboy blues strand. Okay. I said, I'm not a weed smoker, but you can send me that shit. This season is so bad that I will definitely be sparking up.
Neither am I.
Right? But the way he went balls deep on me, oh my God. He's like, no, I want you to suffer, man. I want you to feel like shit. Your team is the worst team in the NFL, and there's no coming back from it. This is the truth. We are literally the clown show. And I've never seen so many injuries. I've never seen so much ineptitude. I've never seen such bad play calling. We're freaking, fake punting a second time from the 38-yard line and failing. We're going for 4th and 26, deep in our territory. It's like, are we literally this bad, or are we just trying to make sure that we get a high draft pick?
Let me tell you what I was watching when I was watching Eagles and Cowboys. I thought of you. And I did. I thought of you. And I was like,
okay.
Mark's probably having a nice cold beverage. Having probably nice something to eat there, watching the game. He's looking like the rest of the Cowboy fans in dismay. And I said this, suffer, bitch.
That's what everybody is, and they're right. And if it makes them feel better, I am suffering. Okay.
It always makes someone feel better when they see others in pain. Don't you know America by now?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they do. Hey. Trust me. You would think with the Cowboys being this bad that my numbers would be down. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
The numbers aren't down.
You got to remember something. Mark, you're in a perfect place right now. You know why?
Why?
If the Cowboys are great, they're off the chain numbers. If the Cowboys are horrible, they're off the chain numbers. The one thing you don't want to be is in the middle.
No, I can literally, when the Cowboys are playing well on my game day live streams, I got about 1,000 people. Dak throws an interception or something like that, it'll jump to like 2,500.
So it's kind of like a heartbeat.
It's literally Cowboys just, oh, they're winning. The numbers go down. Now,
Your off season is going to be enormous.
The off season is going to be crazy because, God, if the Cowboys do what they always do, like with Jason Garrett, you remember they waited before they fired. He literally kept coming to work for a week, and everybody is saying dead man walking, and they just waited and waited and waited and waited. I don't understand how a team and an owner that always seems like he's such a penny pincher, where he's literally making sure he's making every dime off the fan, is always so reckless when it comes to their contracts and making money. A business decision is, we need to go ahead. We're paying our quarterback and our wide receiver. Let's try and make sure we can maximize our investment. Let's put the pieces around it to make sure it's successful. You don't look and say, well, we paid those guys, so we're done. They just got to do it on their own. It doesn't work that way. Not at all.
Would Jerry be open to John Gruden?
I don't know what Jerry Jones would be open to, because I don't really think
Mike McCarthy's fired no matter what at the end of the year.
At first I was thinking that maybe what the Cowboys did was, because I still don't understand why Dak signed. I'll be honest with you. Because looking at what the Cowboys did, I get it. You're getting a big chunk of money. You want to be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. But you have to look at this and say, they're not going to do anything to help me. I wonder if they kind of had a meeting of the minds that said, look, we're going to hit the reset button here. We're not trying to do anything special. We want to let D-Law's contract expire, Zach Martin's and all that, get some cap room, and then next year we'll have a high draft pick, and we're going to try and go all in then. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me right now, because Mike McCarthy does not look like a guy who's worried about getting fired unless he's just ready to get the hell out of here.
Mark, I'm going to go down this list here. A couple last ones here for you.
Okay.
And you tell me. Upgrade at running back. Do you agree in the offseason?
Oh, you got to.
Is Tolbert the number 2, or would they look for another one?
I think you got to look at another one.
Okay.
He's the 3 at best.
Ferguson's a keeper, right?
Yeah, he's out in concussion protocol right now.
Will they stick with the 2? Would they stick with the fullback set, or will they? Are you good with Hunter?
Lipke is actually pretty good. He just has not had, because we're doing so much running back by committee, he doesn't get on the field, but he's actually been very productive. So I like him as a fullback. I really do. Now the question will be is, what kind of offense are we going to run with the new coach?
What's their feeling on Tyler Guyton?
To me, Tyler Guyton, I think here's the problem with the Cowboys is they're always mad scientists. Yes, you do this good, but we want you to do something else. He played right in college. I think you should move him back to the right-hand side and get rid of Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele has not been good since he had the ACL surgery. I think you look at getting rid of him, you make him a post-June 1st cut, you save yourself about $13.5 million of this year's cap. And you look at getting a left tackle. That's what I would look at. Put him over on the right side.
Tyler Smith, is he back?
Tyler Smith, yeah, of course, he's going to get paid.
Are you happy with Cooper Beebe, kid from K-State?
Cooper Beebe, yeah, he's been one of the few bright spots from our draft this year. He's had 3 games with no pressures given up. Some seasoning and some time and some players around him will definitely be good. I think he's going to be better than Biadasz was. Is
Zach Martin out?
I think Zach Martin, he has been totally broke down this year. His contract's expired, so I think this may be his last year.
Terrence Steele, right tackle.
I'd cut him at the end of the year. He's not worth.
Wow.
He's not worth the money that they're paying for him. I'm telling you, he has been consistently as bad as Guyton at tackle.
Do you believe on the defensive side of the football that it'll be a completely remake with Goldstein, Smith, in your right defensive tackle? Do you think there'll be 3 new guys over there next year?
I think so. I mean, of course, you're going to have Mozzie was not going anywhere because he was the #1 pick. And he's not, he gets a lot of flack and stuff. He's a decent defensive tackle. Is he a #1 pick? Probably not. But I think he's a guy that's a good rotational player on there. Ozzie Ndigizua is, this is a contract year, and it's been so up and down. He probably goes elsewhere and plays great somewhere else. And so I think you're looking at basically almost a whole new defensive line. We've had so many defensive ends from Sam Williams. Now Marshawn Nealon is now in the practice portal, so hopefully we see him again on the field in the next 3 weeks. Maybe there's something there.
You need to revamp that front four, man.
Well, I agree. They needed help. They needed to revamp it from last year. And here's the thing that you have to look at with the Cowboys. Here's the problem with the Cowboys. Instead of the Cowboys drafting to complement what they have, they're constantly drafting to plug holes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is because very rarely do you have somebody come out the box that plays like Tyler Smith or Micah Parsons. If you're counting on a 3rd-round guy to come in and be a starter and a legitimate one that's going to put a lot of time, chances are that's not going to work out. And that's part of the problem with the Cowboys.
All right. Micah Parsons, what are you doing with him?
Getting him a muzzle. I am sick of seeing his podcast. It does absolutely positively nothing. If the Cowboys were to bring in Bill Parcells, I don't see how that works with him doing all this stuff. Because it's kind of like every week, it's kind of like he's doing something that's stupid that ends up being, a controversy. This week, literally saying that we're a good team. Bro.
If he pulls that shit with Mike Vrabel, who's another name that's being
there
thrown
you go.
around,
That's not going to happen.
That's not gonna fly with him, man. I mean, Vrabel's not gonna deal with that kind of shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that Mike Vrabel would move that guy and demand that guy would be moved, because you can't have that kind of bullshit. The last question here, this secondary here,
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, Hooker, Diggs, obviously Bland. Bland and Diggs will be there. Hooker's a good football player.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I disagree with a lot of people. I think you have some good secondary guys. I just think your linebacking core and your front four are just not very good, and it's exposing.
And that helps the secondary.
Absolutely. And right now, I think that the secondary would be a lot better if they were able to improve the linebacking core and the front four, because, again, it's just right now the developing routes are killing the secondary right now. So, Mark, this football team's 10, not 10.
10.
This football team is about 3 years
away.
This football team is about 3 years away from being competitive.
Depending on how you end up doing it. If you get a football mind in here and you start using free agency to plug some of the holes, you do have some good pieces. Now, back to Micah Parsons. I don't see where the Cowboys rush to pay Micah Parsons. I look at this as another deal where he's playing on the 5th-year option, just like
well, then he'll be a bench this coming season.
Well, okay. What you going to do about it, bro?
Well, he'll be a gigantic distraction again, and that's something that organization.
He's already a big distraction. And then maybe you end up moving him then. But
look at this.
The problem I have with them moving somebody is Cowboys don't know how to trade. You literally traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round draft pick, and you spent a 4th round to bring in Mingo.
Look at what Philly's doing here. He's mocking you with this. You know what he's doing? He's now using you. Hey, he's now using you as a punching bag, saying, here, do us a favor. We need you to help us move up in the NFC East rankings. Do you think you could put a fucking decent effort together versus Washington? Hey, man, go out and win this for hey, you know that famous saying, win one for the Gipper? Yeah, now you're saying win one for Philly so that we can move up in the NFC standings. Holy shit. He's turned you into his bitch. How's this possible, Mark?
It's just the way things are now. Oh. And I got to go to Harrisburg this weekend and do some work for an Eagle fan. Oh, Lordy.
Oh, hey.
It just gets worse.
Hey, man, listen, tell the folks how they can get a hold of your channel, man. You've been out. Dude, I'll tell you what. You know, he texts me this morning. He goes, I'm here for my weekly beating. And I'm like, dude, I love you, man. Thank you so much for coming aboard. We're as transparent on this program as ever. And I got to hand it to Mark, man. I tell you, the most watched franchise in American history is Yankees and the Cowboys. There's no question about it. Okay? And you're taking a ton of shit. I get these notifications from your channel, and I see all these people just thumping you, dude. And Philly's
I don't even read the comments anymore. I just don't read the comments anymore, man. They're just they're merciless, man.
Look at this.
It's just bad.
Dude,
but you can find me in the gutter with a bottle right now. But if you want to see my channel, just look for JAKIB Sports Report or Mark Holmes, and you can find me there.
Thank you. I'm going to get Philly on probably tomorrow. I'm going to see if we can do it, Philly, if you can come on tomorrow. And we'll see if we can tag up, and we'll get him on tomorrow. You have to watch. By the way, Mark, thank you very much for your misery. It's been so refreshing to watch and wonderful to watch how you're just in this position here. Look at this here, man.
I can't believe this.
Look at this. Now you're being mocked. People are paying to mock you.
Oh, I get Eagle fans that literally super chat me just to insult me. That's how bad it is.
Go Cowboys, run it up on the Commanders. Oh my God. Hey, Mark, I appreciate you more than you know, man. Thank you so much, brother. Yeah. All right. Hey, Philly, good, man. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll pick a time. Look at that. And so that we could sit here and remember the time here on November 20th here and watching Mark Holmes in complete misery suffer, fucker. Suffer. Hey, Mark, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, dude. I do feel bad for that dude, man. I got to tell you, man. Hey, look at Abe. Hey, look at what he says. Suffer. Jameson, Mark does show up. Hey, I'll tell you what. He's loyal to you Eagle fans. He's showing up. Do you know how many of the stiffs on WIP or those shit radio stations in Dallas would never show up? By the way, Mark does the best show in Dallas. You know why? Because those other guys, you know what they are? They're chewing gum on the bottom of Jerry Jones's shoe. Okay? Jerry Jones steps on it and picks that gum off the bottom of his shoe. Those are the hosts in that city because they don't have any Sacagawea to say anything. Nothing. Hit the like button. Way to go, Mark. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid
as long as you face the fear.
and keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Show's National Football Show. Please hit the like button. Eagles have to travel west to Los Angeles, to SoFi Stadium this weekend. Pretty amazing stat. Since 2021, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best road team in pro football. That includes the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that a factor, travel? I would say for normal teams that it would be a normal issue where you're traveling and that helps the Rams out. But at the end of the day, the Eagles have won a ton of games on the road. They know how to win on the road. So they know how to take care of business. Huff's injury will be a blessing in disguise. Jalen Hunt becomes the next really good rookie. Well, I'll just say this one more time to Philly, and we'll bring it up tomorrow with him. Philly, 4:30 Eastern, if you can. I'll bring it up one more time here. It's a complete disaster. It's a $51 million failure by Howie Roseman. That guy will never be the player that they were projecting him to be, where he was going to be a 3-down lineman and he was going to be a 3-down defensive football player. He is an absolute disaster. And he just will not pan out because that's why the Jets walked away from him. Robert Saleh knows and knew the player that they let walk out the building. Okay? Didn't you think when the Jets, by the way, the Jets thought more of Hassan Reddick. They traded draft equity for him. They had a guy who was younger in their own building, and they knew what he was. It was a situational one-trick pony. It's a complete disaster. I mean, they were projecting complete failure. Once again, this is how that organization doesn't get edge rusher right and doesn't get the linebacker position right. They mismanage those positions more than any other position on defense. Who's been the best pass rusher that they've drafted in the last 15 years? Josh Sweat? Okay, he's a good ball player. I wouldn't call him elite. The Philadelphia Eagles have no elite edge rushers. Okay? No elite. Okay? I mean, hasn't Brandon Graham been in the building more than 15 years? And by the way, Howie Roseman didn't draft Brandon Graham. That was a Joe Banner and a Andy Reid guy. Okay? Okay. Last 15 years, Trent Cole. He was drafted 15 years in the last 15 years. Last 15 years. They haven't drafted an edge rusher. Okay, wait a minute here. Let's take a look at the last 15 drafts then, because you guys are trying to tell me that Brandon Graham was not drafted by Howie Roseman. He was drafted by Joe Banner. Okay? Here. Last 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. In 2010, Brandon Graham, yes. But here's the defensive ends you've drafted. Brandon Graham, by the way, once again, was a Andy Reid and Joe Banner in 2010. Okay? Sills, you're way wrong. BG was Howie's first pick. Not true. Brandon Graham was Andy Reid. Let's see here. Let's see here. What's Brandon? Okay, Brandon Graham. Here, hang on here. Who was the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles in 2010? It is Howie. Howie Roseman, BG. Okay? All right, Philly. You got it here. Brandon Graham. Here's how many edge rushers they've drafted. Ricky Sapp in the 5th round that year. Daniel Tio Nasima, they drafted in the 3rd round. The next year, they drafted edge rushing. Look at the linebackers that are complete failures. Vin Curry was a 2nd rounder. I won't go 7th round. Taylor Hart, 5th round. Derek Barnett. Josh Sweat's 1. 4th round, Sharif Miller. I won't go 6th round. I won't do that. Jalix Hunt, we don't know these guys. So they drafted 2 edge rushers, Brandon Graham in the last 15 years and Josh Sweat. You think that's a good number? Pretty sure, okay. Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. Now let's do this. Let's go back to Brandon Graham and let's take a look at the linebackers. Go back to Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham, that's a great pick by Howie. His first pick, he drafted in the 15 years, he's drafted 2 edge rushers that have been good out of about 11. Here's the linebackers they've drafted. Keenan Clayton, 4th round. Casey Matthews, 4th round. Michael Kendricks, 2nd round. Marcus Smith, 1st round. They just stopped drafting. Sean Bradley in the 6th. I don't go there. They just stopped drafting linebackers. Nakobe Dean was the highest draft pick at linebacker in 2022. And prior to that, think of this. Prior to that, Devin Taylor was a complete bust in the 3rd round. They just stopped drafting linebackers. So you really believe that what they're going to do is they're going to give Zach Bond the money. Philly goes like this. How about Nakobe? I think he's getting better. I don't think 10 games is going to sit here and make me think that he's a frontline player. I think he's getting better. Okay, he is. He's having a good year. It could be because the guy's sitting next to him. Okay? Well, okay, so let's get this right. He's drafted one linebacker in the last 15 years that was worth a shit. Is that correct? Let's go back and be accurate here. I'm glad you guys called me on it. Let's see. In the last 15 years, what linebacker has been decent? 2010 draft, none. 2011 draft, none. 2000, and by the way, we do this. Let's do this. You drafted in 2010, 1, 2, 3 linebackers, all bust. 11, 1, 2, 3. So wait a minute here. That's not Greg Lloyd. That's not Greg Lloyd you drafted in 2011 that went to Pittsburgh, is it? Can't be. That's not the guy to play with the Steelers. No. Okay. I was like, no. The linebacking history is terrible. We don't know anything about Trotter. Dean's getting better. Taylor was a bust. Bradley was a bust. Jordan Hicks. Marcus Smith was terrible. Marcus Smith, in his 5 years, had 50 tackles. And he was a first-round pick, 26th overall. So, I mean, what would make me believe that he's going to draft or evaluate the position correctly when he's never has? Howie was a GM. We had the dream team at 11. Now, this is Howie's second dream team. Hopefully, he can make it work. Do they sign Vic Fangio to a long-term contract? I don't think you have to do that. He's 70 years old. Or will they fire the coaching staff if we lose in the playoffs? I don't think so, Lord's grace. Hey, by the way, Xander, if I missed a super chat when I was reading that, please let me know. Seals, from a player's perspective, in the Rams case, do you lose home field to a degree when you have to travel to, say, New England or Los Angeles? That matters. I totally think that matters. Barnett's still playing 10 years. Had a strip sack. Yeah, too bad he's not productive in Philly. Hey, it's good to see that he's being productive with the Texans. Unfortunately, you couldn't coach him. Last 4 years have been Howie's best drafting years. Okay, let's take a look at that. When you say that, because I'm starting to get some pushback because some of these guys are starting to pan out. And let's take a look at how he's drafting the last 5 years. I don't know this year, so we'll have to wait and see. It's only 10 games in. We'll see how this plays out. Last year, Jalen Carter, excellent. Nolan Smith, improving, like Vic said today or yesterday, improving. Tyler Steen, not bad. Sidney Brown. I don't think Sidney Brown is as good as many of you think he is. I think he's a good hitter. I don't think he tackles very well. I think he over-pursues. I want to see a little bit more football out of him. Keely Ringo hasn't done enough to impress Vic Fangio, or he'd be playing more. Okay? Contributed in the Super Bowl. I can live with Barnett. Yeah, okay. Well, like I said, if anybody thinks that Derek Barnett had a good career in Philly, you're crazy. He had a good moment in Philly. 2022, Jordan Davis. Not the 13th pick. Cam Jurgens, great pick. Dean, improving. Karan Johnson. I mean, the rest of these guys are nobodies. Cal Katara's a good player. The 22 draft is not bad. 21, Smith, great. Dickerson, great. Williams, a pick. Zach McPherson. Gainwell's a good pick. 2020, Rager, terrible. Hurts, obviously good. Taylor, terrible. Wallace, terrible. Driscoll, not bad. Hightower, not good. Bradley, terrible. Don't go down to 7th. 19, Dillard, a bust. Sanders was good. Whiteside, not good. 18, Goddard and Maddox and Sweat and Mulata. Mulata's the pick of that draft. Mulata's the pick of that 2018, even with Josh Sweat in that 2018. Mulata's the pick because he was a 7th rounder and he was a 233rd pick in the draft. Swartz, good with D-line, not good with linebackers. LB should get better with Vic, who knows linebackers. Howie relies on coaches and evaluating draftees. Here, in Philly, I say Gainwell because the Eagles love him. He's still on the roster, man. He's still on the roster. And they like him. And by the way, I think without a doubt, man, I think he's going to be essential in giving reps to Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to be I think he's going to give reps to Barkley. I'm going to get into Nick's presser today a little bit here in a second, but I want to go one more time, and I want to make sure we reset here. Hey, do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. So one more time here. The problem that the Eagles are going to have in these next couple games, Jordan Hicks was a chip pick, how he was in the boiler room. Okay. And we'll get into this with Philly tomorrow. I'm going to say it one more time. And I think Philly likes Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore has not improved the passing game. He has not. And you're going to need the passing game once you get into playoff time and you're playing better coaches and better teams and teams that are playing good. There's nowhere this year where the passing game has improved from a year ago. The only thing that's improved is that he's not turning the ball over as much. It hasn't improved. Kellen Moore was the wrong hire. I didn't need Kellen Moore to come in and improve the run game. The Eagles have been great in the run game for the last 10 years. Okay? I needed to improve the passing game. Okay? And Xander and everyone are like, can you win a Super Bowl with this style of play? So the only team that I can refer back to, it's not that Bronco team that Xander pointed out. It would be the Seattle team. Okay? It would be the Seattle team. And get this. Chris says this. Chris, I don't think you're ever fixing it. Sills is right. Thank goodness we have 7 weeks to fix it. Moore and Hurts have to be on board. I don't think, dude, this is Hurts' ceiling. This is who he is. I completely don't think he has a higher ceiling. This is what he is. He's been in the league 5 years. Don't turn the ball over. Be effective. Deep passes don't win Super Bowls. I mean, just don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. Be effective on third down, which he can be. And you can win Super Bowls. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think the Eagles are very good on third down. That's where he's going to have to be better, is on third down, especially in the passing game. And they're not very good. I don't think they are. I'm going to double check that. I don't believe they are. Xander says he thinks you can win a Super Bowl with this style of play. Well, if you're not throwing the ball enough and you're going to go into a back and forth and you have to, even Kellen Moore says it, you have to throw the ball. Third down is going to be important here. And the Eagles right now, where are they on the Eagles are 11th. That's not horrible. It's improved a lot, actually, over the last 3 weeks. Xander says you need a great defense. I think you need a great quarterback to win Super Bowls. Most of the teams that have won Super Bowls have a B+ to A quarterback and have a C+ roster. Brady's roster was never what the roster Peyton Manning had. Here, I'm going to make a point to you here. Peyton Manning was at many times overrated. Why? How many people think Peyton Manning was overrated as a quarterback? I think Peyton Manning was overrated. How many people believe Peyton Manning was overrated when he was with the Colts? I'm awake. Are you? Says not overrated. Okay. Oh, Philly, we will, brother. Peyton Manning had Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison, soon to be Hall of Famer Reggie Wayne, that Dallas Clark, and Hall of Famer Edgerrin James. And Marshall Faulk was even on that team. And you won 1 Super Bowl? Joe Flacco won 1. Peyton Manning was overrated. Here, let's do a better one. Don't you think that he at least underachieved when he was in Indianapolis? Get this, Steve doesn't. Wait a minute. Ben Roethlisberger won more. I mean, Peyton Manning had Hall of Famers almost at every position. Had a Hall of Fame running back. Get this. Wait a minute. This guy says this. It's the dumbest shit ever. He had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame running back, and he won 1 Super Bowl. How many people believe that Peyton Manning underachieved in Indianapolis? Yes or no? And by the way, to Philly's point, Peyton Manning was 14-13 in the postseason. He had 2 Hall of Fame. Brady, on the other hand, had no Hall of Fame wideouts, no Hall of Fame running backs, and won Super Bowls. Why? Because he's a better player. Do you think the quarterback class coming out, many of them are 5 to 7 years, and most of them don't need the money? I don't really like the class coming out. I don't. That's not what I. Just like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a gifted player. Name me a Hall of Fame wide receiver Aaron Rodgers played with when he won. Devontae Adams? Maybe. Can you name me another wide receiver in Green Bay that Aaron Rodgers played with that's going to the Hall of Fame? Can you name me a running back that Aaron Rodgers played with that's going to the Hall of Fame? Any of those guys? Peyton Manning was overrated in Indianapolis. This guy had Hall of Famers at every position. He's like Jalen. Had a Hall of Fame running back in Edgerrin James, 2 Hall of Fame wideouts, an all-pro tight end. And he had the same old line for 10 years. And he won 1 Super Bowl. And you're telling me you think he didn't underachieve in Indianapolis? That's crazy. To have that kind of talent for a decade and win 1. When Brady had none of that. Why do you think that is? Brady was a more skilled quarterback than Peyton Manning ever was. Manning was overrated, man. He had more talent than Tom for 10 plus years. And Brady kicked his ass every year. How are you disrespecting Peyton, bro? He underachieved like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't have the players that Peyton Manning had. What are you talking about? How the fuck in the world are you comparing the people Aaron Rodgers played with what Peyton Manning played with? This is a very, I got people fight me on this. He had Hall of Famers at every position in Indianapolis and won one Super Bowl. One. Flacco won one. Flacco had less talent. How in the world does Peyton Manning have 2 Hall of Fame wideouts and a Hall of Fame running back and win one? Name me one Hall of Famer that Tom Brady played with at wide receiver or running back in New England when he was playing up there, when he won no Super Bowl. Name me one. Name me one player that's going to Canton. So would you say having a key tight end? Like, that's right. No, that's why Andy Reid took that from Bill Belichick. The tight end is more important. Okay? Aaron Rodgers had no players in. I'm not debating you, you fucking idiot. I don't think he was overrated, but should have had 3 rings in Philly. Well, if you think he should have had 3 rings in Indianapolis, and he only wins 1, that's underachieving. Once again, sometimes people can't listen. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl in New England. Brady had the no-holes defense. Okay? You just don't win Super Bowls with a defense. You got to have a quarterback to be able to move the sticks. Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, Manning, Holmes all had top defenses. And every one of those guys are Pro Football Hall of Famers. First ballot. Because watch this. To your point, Tom Brady played with no Hall of Famers except at the tight end position. Rodgers has not played with 1 Hall of Famer in Green Bay. Breeze will play his career in New Orleans with no Hall of Famers in the huddle. Manning had 3 Hall of Famers. Mahomes will have no Hall of Famers except the tight end that he'll play in his career in Kansas City. Think about that. There's not one player that he played with except for Tyreek Hill. Then they moved off him, and they're still winning Super Bowls. It's about the quarterback, dudes. It's not just about the defense. It's about the QBs. Peyton Manning had to have a team around him, or he wasn't going to win. Get this. I can't believe you guys don't see how in the world one guy wins 1 Super Bowl and has a record 1 game over 500 in the postseason. And when it mattered the most, Manning lost in the postseason. Here, let's look at this. Postseason playoff records. QB NFL. You tell me. It's incredible. Tom Brady had 7 Super Bowls. Freaking amazing. Now, he ended up playing with a Hall of Fame wide receiver with Mike Evans, because Evans is going to Hall of Fame. Brady's 35-13 with nobodies. With absolute nobodies at wide receiver. He was a superior ball player than Manning. Here's Peyton Manning's record. He's 14-13. He's 1 game over 500. Roethlisberger's 13-10. There's very few guys with great records. Aikman was 11-4. Rodgers is 11-10. It's not that easy to win in the postseason. I mean, I would say even Eli probably has a better record. Eli's 8-4. Got a better win percentage than what his brother had. His brother played with nobody. My boy Dominic Rhodes, it should have been the MVP in the Super Bowl. What was Joe's record? Good call. Montana was spectacular. Remember something about Joe, and I've said this before to you. Joe was 16-7. Joe Montana had 135 quarterback rating, 16 touchdown passes, and no picks in his 4 wins. Montana never threw a pick in the Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl he played, and he beat Marino and Elway and guys like that when he was in the Super Bowl. Absolutely annihilated them. And let's not forget, he didn't have Jerry Rice the first one. He had Freddie Solomon and a guy named Burt Cooper and Wendell Tyler were his offensive skill set guys when they beat Cincinnati and Detroit. Hey, Dan, are you saying Hurts is Manning? No, I'm saying that you have to have a football team around people like Manning and Hurts if you're going to win. Peyton Manning's by far a better skill set passer than Hurts will ever be. But what I'm saying is that we'll get this. Sills, is this an era of Mahomes, Allen, Jackson better than Brady, Manning, Breeze, etc.? It's a great take. Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson are just spectacular players. I mean, they're spectacular players. Look at this. Come on, Sills. Isn't every GM trying to get the best players within the budget? Well, Bill Polian went to the Hall of Fame. He's the guy that built the Colts. He's the guy that built the Bills. How does Bill Polian build? The general manager's a Hall of Famer. General manager did it. He got into the Hall of Fame. Do you want to know why Baker Mayfield was having such an awesome year? It's because Tom Moore, he's on the coaching staff with Tampa Bay. It's a great take, and you're right. Tom Moore is a savant at developing of quarterbacks. He was the number one reason that Tony Dungy got the Colts job, and that's one of the parameters that Bill Polian and the Ursays had, was that they were not going to fire the offensive coordinator, Tom Moore, because Peyton Manning loved him, and Manning had him there for 10 years and a decade. Tom Moore's a really good player. Bill Polian underachieved. So did the quarterback. I don't think Brady wins any Super Bowls if he was on the Colts then. It's a mixture of coaching and the system. Also, when you don't have divas on the team, there's less problems for the quarterback. And that's why they moved off of Stephon Diggs in Buffalo and why they moved off of Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. His quarterbacks got better. All of you guys were telling me Josh Allen was going to suffer not having Stephon Diggs. I said he was going to be better. And that's exactly what's happened. He's better. Look at what you said about DeAndre Hopkins. You said if Hopkins wins a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, it's a different position, dude. It's a completely different position than quarterback. Wide receiver is completely different than what a quarterback is. DeAndre Hopkins is a great football player and has been a great football player with shitty quarterbacks his entire career. He's never played with one outside of a couple of years with Watson. You're trying to compare wide receiver and quarterback? It's another fucking dumb take. Jalen needs to improve reading defenses and pick up his passing game in order for the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl. Steve, in my opinion, they'll never get back there again because he'll never put consistent games together. The era of Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rivers, Roethlisberger, all of those dudes, probably missing someone, was the best. If you had an average quarterback during that time, you were irrelevant. Completely true, and you're right. That's a dumb statement. Underachieving and overachieving is damn near the same thing. I'm not explaining shit to you. Let's see here. For every Hall of Fame offensive player that Peyton, the Pats had a Hall of Famer on defense. Like who? Who's made the Hall of Fame? Brady era. Richard Seymour. Ty Law. Brady was there 21 years. Who else? Ty Law, Richard Seymour. Who else? Brisky's not a Hall of Famer. Harrison's not a Hall of Famer. Harrison's not a Hall of Famer. Oh. McCartney's not a Hall of Famer. Harrison's been on the ballot. He's not a first ballot. He's not a Hall of Famer. And by the way, he played the majority of his career in San Diego. Wolfert's not a Hall of Famer. No, we're talking defense here. Try listening. We're talking defense, Senorita. Once again, try listening. Ty Law, Seymour. Who else? Harrison never won a Super Bowl in New England. Do you do your fucking work? He never won a Super Bowl. McGinnis was a crossover from Carroll. Two. So let's do this. You guys are saying Rodney Harrison, first ballot. He's not a first ballot, and he never won in New England. And on offense, Brady played with who? That was a Hall of Famer at the wide receiver position and running backs? None. So you're telling me Tom Brady played with 2 Hall of Famers and won 6 Super Bowls? I mean, is that right? Right? I'm wrong on Harrison. Harrison won 2. Harrison won 2. So he left. It was Sao that didn't win. It was Sao that didn't win. That's it. Akbar, it was Sao that didn't win. So Brady played with Rodney Harrison on defense, Ty Law, and Richard Seymour. And on offense, he played with nobody except the tight end, right? Asante Samuel, fucking stupid. He's not a Hall of Famer. Asante Samuel will never get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So again, let's take a look at it. Guys, do me a favor. The kicker's not in the Hall of Fame. I do, Senor. I do too. I think Vinatieri will probably get in. He'll probably get in this year. So Peyton Manning, who was the edge rusher in Indianapolis he played with? Who was the edge rusher? Jason, he won 2. Who was the edge rusher? Dwight Freeney from Connecticut, who broke my sack records, believe it or not. So he played with Freeney. He played with Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James. Since we're using ballots, Reggie Wayne will probably get in. So this guy played with 4 Hall of Famers, and most of them on offense. Brady didn't play with any of those guys. Brady never played with a Hall of Famer except for Gronk that won Super Bowls. And you're trying to tell me Peyton Manning didn't underachieve. Okay. And that's what I'm saying to you about Jalen. Jalen's got a shitload of talent around him. If they don't win, they continue to underachieve. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Eagles underachieved last year? Did the Eagles underachieve last year? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. So 2023, they underachieved. Let me ask you this. Do you think they underachieved in 2022? Yes. So 2024, is it Super Bowl or bust? So if they don't win, okay, if they don't win, it'll be 3 years of underachieving with your roster, correct? Unfortunately, yes. 4 losses in the Super Bowl. If the gauge is championships, yeah. They were really good teams, Keith. But do you get what do you want me to say? Kelly's my guy. He's been on the program. Kelly's my guy. If you don't think losing 4 Super Bowls is underachieving, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I love Jim Kelly. I mean, Jim Kelly is one of my guys. But you lose 4 Super Bowls, I don't know what else to say to you. Dan Marino, that's a good point. That's a great take. So do you think in the 21 years or 18 years Dan Marino played in the National Football League, not winning the Super Bowl, do you think he underachieved or overachieved? He broke every record there was. Duper and Clayton, great football players. Yes. If Jalen Hurts fails this year, it'll be 3 years in a row that he's failed with a great roster and delivering a Super Bowl. That'll be more of a disaster than what Donovan McNabb did. You can't just hang around the rim and beat Dallas, can you? Now, wake me up, Big C, when Mike Vrabel's a Hall of Famer. Right? So if he doesn't win, we'll be going on year 4 of this. Absolutely. Horrifically. Absolutely. Next. What's your next question, Greg? Yes. 53rd player taken. 56th player taken. Hurts was only taken 3 spots more than me. Yes. Losing to 2 of the GOATs, though, is different. Really? So you think Nick Foles and Eli Manning beating Tom Brady twice? Those 2, Eli Manning beat him twice. And I wouldn't consider Eli Manning a first ballot Hall of Famer. Underachieving, but not overrated. Huh. Billy, tomorrow you're going to have to quantify the difference in those 2. Marino isn't walking around telling people he made a Super Bowl when he didn't win it. She'll remember when Deion Branch left the Patriots and played like shit in Seattle? You bet. True shit, Philly 500. 2 differences. Really? Okay. See, I think they're the same. I think if you're not good enough to deliver the championship, you're not a championship quarterback. And if you're not good enough to beat Brady, don't compare Tom Brady to, or Peyton Manning to Tom Brady. You're not good enough. You're just a good player then. There's nothing wrong with being a good player. But don't compare those 2. It's like comparing again. Jalen Hurts getting to a Super Bowl doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. I named you 14 guys that got to Super Bowls that were not. Some guys won MVP awards. They were decent players. That doesn't make you a great player. That doesn't make you a great quarterback. Okay? That doesn't make you a great Donovan McNabb. Underachieved? 5 NFC championship games and no Super Bowl wins? You tell me. Is he a good player to Philly 500's point? Yeah, he's a good player. What are we talking about here, though? Jesus Christ, what do you play this game for? To be kind of good? Or be really good? Or to be a champion? And by the way, again, when we're talking about Hurts here, you're collecting a $200 million offense, and if you don't deliver a Super Bowl, you don't think that's underachieving? Or not good enough? He's not a first rounder. Brady was a 6th rounder. Joe Montana was a 3rd rounder. Kurt Warner was undrafted. Thank you, Keith. I mean, Seals, would Nick Foles be considered overrated since his career wasn't as good as his playing was during the playoffs or Super Bowl? Dude, I'm going to tell you about Nick Foles that he is the weirdest quarterback in pro football history. And I actually love the guy. And he is the most complex dude I've ever talked about. Okay? I mean it. So when you say Nick Foles, how can I do this? Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, a Pro Bowler, NFL passer rating leader, 7 touchdown passes in a game, all time. 25 consecutive pass completions, all time. Career playoff completion percentage, all time. 82-47, his touchdown ratio. So, I mean, he's just a freaking weird dude, man. That 26-2 year he had was stupid. I mean, I think he got shitty coaching outside of Philly. Look at the places that he went to. And I think he had horrible coaching. And I think he really, if you think about it, in his career, he got hosed by the coaches. Check it out. In 2015, he's coached by that idiot, Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher ruined Vince Young and ruined Jared Goff. Jeff Fisher was terrible outside of Steve McNair. Okay? Kansas City, Foles in 16. I really don't even remember him there. And then 17 and 18. I mean, obviously he was drafted in 12 to 14. He played. And they moved off him. He was great. He wins the Super Bowl. Jacksonville, shitty coaching. Chicago, shit. Hey, tell me this. Since Foles left Philly, do you not agree? He had no chance in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence doesn't. Caleb Williams has no shot. Neither did Justin Fields in Chicago. In Indianapolis, it's a freaking shit show. Nick Foles was his problem was going to bad organizations. Fisher's a Hall of Famer? Not likely, unless he's buying a ticket. He's a shitty coach. Last 10 years of his coaching career, he was under 500. 10 years, he was under 500. Says you think Barkley was drafted by the Eagles, he'd be in Canton. Guys, great stuff. This is going to be quite a test, man. This is going to be quite a test this week. I can't wait to see it. Rams and Eagles, they have the better team. We'll talk more about it, obviously. You guys have been absolutely great. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Xander, big show coming up right after us here. Pat's got a great one on the line here for you. Do me a favor. Make sure you stick around for him. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like button. Big Joe and Xander, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.